Welcome to a One Take Podcast, episode 153, the one and only place on the internet talking about Barbenheimer. This is the only place that you will get
You
that
heard it
news.
here first.
Reviewing Barbie and Oppenheimer. Sooner or later, we will hopefully be joined by Sarah Johnston because otherwise, this would be three dudes talking to you about Barbie. Which also, Oppenheimer, which has some weird things to say about women, as do most Christopher Nolan films. But
I think the weird part of most Christopher Nolan films is they don't have anything to say about women.
well,
And this
actually,
one,
sure. That
this one said a lot of things. We were like, huh.
uh-huh. Yeah, about that. So you had some opinions this time. Anyway, we'll be talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer, what is sure to be probably the movie event of the next 5 years. Like, I don't think anything you can't organically make this happen again. Although
Movies
these
are
movie
fucking back,
studios,
guys. We are so fucking back.
Don't tell that to Tom Cruise because holy shit, they got passed up in the box office. They got lapped not only by these two films, but by
we
like
were there,
that
and
fake
we had a
Sound
good
of
time.
Freedom movie.
It was 2 versus 1, Tom. What could you do? There were 2 films versus your one.
It's not your fault, brother. They did
you did your job.
They should have ducked the release date like Taylor Swift was dropping, dog. Like they should have been like, no, I'm gonna get my number one some other time. Not right now.
I'll see you in August.
Exactly.
But not only that, it got lapped by that Sound of Freedom movie, which a bunch of people are just buying tickets for in bulk and saying that they're
hey, that Barbie counter programming right there. They were the girls and the gays have their movie.
Facts.
We got Sound of Freedom.
Right. So we're talking about Barbie, Oppenheimer. It's shattering box office records. We'll talk about this boring stuff. I find it fascinating. There's a series of tweets, and now since it's since passed these tweets, but I did bookmark this one. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so it's a thread by, I just want to give him credit, Jonathan AMB32 on Twitter, a semi-viral tweet. In the first weekend, and of course it's since passed these, in this opening weekend, Barbie grossed $155 million. Oppenheimer, a rated R character drama, made
very talky.
Made $80 million. This is the first time in box office history that two movies opened over $80 million each. He says, hell, it's only the fourth time two movies opened over $50 million each. And it's the first time that has happened in a decade. Also, the second one of those openers was co-written by Noah Baumbach, which is actually really funny if you think about it. But yeah, it is the best opening weekend for movies since Avengers Endgame, which did that all on its own, which is a whole other thing. But
we'll never see anything like it again.
No, not like this. Actually, we may not see anything like this or like Endgame ever again. So I don't know. Do you want to real quick talk about this weekend and what this was like? Because I did the Barbenheimer, which I've unironically like forgotten.
Make mine a Barbenheimer.
Yeah, exactly. I've unironically just been saying that a lot, so you know that the internet has poisoned my brain. But like, do you want to talk about this weekend and what it was like, and sort of even the advanced screenings of it, which I know y'all saw too? But I waited on a full Saturday, 10:30 in the morning, which is insane to go see Oppenheimer at.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Till 5 in the evening is when my movie day wrapped up. But y'all talk about y'all's experience at the theater and kind of what this was like, or have y'all seen anything like this?
I went on Thursday. My first showing was Oppenheimer at 5 p.m. and then I had a 9, because Oppenheimer is 3 hours long. So I had a 9:20 showing of Barbie. My theater was completely packed. People wore their dark colors to Oppenheimer. There was like a little food court over there, so we saw the same people that were in our theater get their little food court on, go get their food, put on their pink if they didn't already have it on, and then waltz into Barbie and then do it all over again. The movie theaters was packed, and it was fucking amazing to see people at the movies. It felt like everybody in my life was going to the movies this weekend, which is not a thing that happens very often.
Yeah.
As people that are always at the movies, like we are, obviously, it's nice to not be in half-empty theaters. It's nice to kind of get that feel to where people really care about movies. And I think it makes Nolan look really stupid because he's acting like a big baby about this whole thing, about these two, when it's inevitably clear that having Barbie, it helped him. He broke all the projections that he was going to do by a lot, even though Barbie was always going to be the bigger movie, especially because of the way that was marketed. But Nolan made a lot more money, and that cast made a lot more money specifically because this was eventized in the way that it was, and it was fucking awesome, and it worked out perfectly. And I appreciate the internet for doing this, and I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did because the movies were fucking back. It was incredible. I'll never forget this moment in time ever.
I haven't been this excited like for a movie theater experience probably since Endgame. I mean, I guess I was excited for Rise of Skywalker, and then they shit on my dreams in front of my face.
What about Top Gun? I think Top Gun was the most anticipation I've had in the 2020s for movies, for sure.
There's no way I could have thought that
I was excited about the movie
as it was.
Yeah, I was excited about the movie being good, but I wasn't excited about like the event of going to it. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I was.
Like,
me and all the white
by surprise.
Me and all the white dads. We were in there deep.
I guess also because I didn't watch Top Gun until we talked about it on this podcast, and I came away being like, huh, yeah, that was probably good, like back in the day. So like, I didn't have that nostalgia for it. But yeah, it was like we made a day out of it. Like we went, me and some of the other Apollo guys, like they went and saw the movie they went and saw Oppenheimer at 10:30 in the morning on Friday. I was at work like a normal person, so I didn't do that. I meet them for lunch. We're like getting hammered at lunch, drinking pink like margaritas and shit. Go to see Barbie at like 4:00 or whatever. We're all dressed in pink. Everybody in the lobby is dressed like in Barbie costumes and outfits and shit. Like we don't get to do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people dressed up for like Black Panther, but like that was it, and that was different. Like this was crazy. I haven't seen anything like it, and I doubt we ever will again. It'll be hard to ever do something like this on accident.
Well, it feels stupid to say, but it is true, and it's a very genuine tweet that is like, all the discourse aside about going to the movies and our movies back and is people just this and the Taylor Swift massive tour have shown that women love to get dressed up and go do things.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I said women. People love to go get dressed up and go do things that are like the group think is that it's fun. Like unironically. True,
but also maybe we should make blockbusters for women because God, it's like a novel idea. That's actually a thing that fucking works because there are a lot of women in this country. Just make movies for them. It was fucking awesome. It was great that they had a movie.
In fact, isn't it like mostly women? Like, aren't we skewed that way? Yeah, it is a astounding bit of movie history, and that seems weird to say, but it genuinely is. Like,
it is. It's history.
Yeah,
like we said, like we're not gonna see this again. This was something completely unique from everything else that we've had before.
And these studios are gonna try to replicate it, and there will be papers written about it and articles written about it, about why this was such a thing. And maybe it was because it was like just too strictly conflicting tones of movies, when in reality, actually, when you go see the movies, they're not that different in their messaging.
There is some crossover. There is some real synergy.
There's a lot of through lines, but yeah, I mean, I think it was mostly like, first of all, a Barbie movie was always going to bang, no matter when they dropped it, no matter what they dropped it against. So that was going to happen. But then it's only a handful, and it's a real small handful of directors could get this kind of hype against the Barbie movie. It's like Nolan, maybe like Spielberg, depending on the topic, because like clearly his biopic did nothing for him. But
exactly, his character drama didn't do
shit.
Didn't do anything.
So like, there's just a small handful of directors you're talking about who can get this kind of hype for a movie like Oppenheimer, a 3-hour biopic, like most people aren't ever going to be excited about that. But you tell them, oh, Christopher Nolan directed it, and it's got every actor you ever heard of, and some
Literally
that you haven't
everyone you've ever
yet. Like, yeah, that was all. That was gonna bang too. And these two movies coming together like this is just crazy. I don't know if Warner Brothers was like trying to sabotage or whatever, like people have claimed, but
Well,
I mean, they fell ass backwards into more money too.
that's the other part of it, is that Warner Brothers can't get out of their own fucking way.
I can't believe they've been successful in this regard, just because they've been so fucking horrible over the last couple of years.
Successful, yes, because look, they did end up making more money than the projections. As always, they were going to make a ton of money with a Barbie movie starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. That just wasn't ever going to fail.
Facts.
And I mean, it could have. We've seen stuff bomb before, and of course, Margot Robbie has now beaten the bombing allegations too.
Which we told y'all she would, by the way. We said, don't count her out just because nobody saw those last couple films. She's still her. And we told y'all on this podcast, it doesn't matter. The price of the brick is going right back up in Barbie.
The price of the brick is going back up.
Well, somebody said, between Margot Robbie's last two movies, this and Babylon, they've made a combined $158 million at the domestic box office. So
Babylon is good. Justice for Babylon.
Facts. Sure. Thank you. Let it be known. Let it fucking be known.
Yeah, absolutely. If you say so.
Real cinema.
I'm gonna come around on that movie so hard. Y'all are gonna scold me in like 2 years when I'm just like, actually, it was good. But the Warner Brothers, if you don't know the long history of this, and we're going long before we get into our review, but because it just deserves some context. Warner Brothers, longtime collaborator with Christopher Nolan when he went to the studio system after he made Memento on an independent film. And two independent films if you count The Following, which was actually his first movie. But the history behind that is that after Tenet bombed and they did the day and date release thing with that, they wouldn't hold on to the movie. They were going to put it out in theaters regardless of the pandemic restrictions, and it bombed and he hated it and it didn't get good review. It was just a total failure for Warner Brothers, and I think Nolan kind of took it on the chin as well too. He parted ways with Warner Brothers. Universal said hi, and they gave him like a blank check basically to come make movies for them. Warner Brothers, out of spite, decided to keep Barbie on the same day as Oppenheimer, out of spite to Christopher Nolan for changing studios.
Facts.
Inadvertently making more money for Oppenheimer than he has made since Batman. So, like, get out of your own way. Like, I don't know. Warner Brothers can't win for losing is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, trying to spite Nolan or whatever, backfiring. Yeah, that's very stupid and very Warner Brothers. But, like, I don't think they lost any money on this. Yeah. Like, it's not like people were like, oh, I'm going to Oppenheimer instead of Barbie. Like, it's
no, the actual opposite happened is that more people bought tickets to go to Oppenheimer because they couldn't get into Barbie. It was like 16% of tickets or something like that.
Jesus
because they
Christ.
couldn't get into Barbie. So anyway.
But yeah, Warner Brothers, they got them one with this. They're already trying to do too much with it. This Polly Pocket Lena Dunham nonsense. Stop it.
Oh my God. Why would you announce 40 fucking films at the same time? Why? Warner Brothers, what are you doing?
It's like it's fucking Wednesday. This shit, you could even go a week without doing some dumb shit to spoil your goodwill.
Maytel was like, they like this, right?
Announcing like 20 films at once is fucking insane. Half those movies will never be made, for one. For two, we don't fucking like Lena Dunham. We don't care that she's directing a Polly Pocket movie. We won't be there for that. And three, we don't necessarily care about the Uno movie. What do you like? I couldn't believe they just took all that shit out. What does that mean?
Fucking Uno movie.
It's just you punching your brother at the family dinner table because he gave you a draw 4 at the wrong time.
Mattel, you were already on our good sides. Barbie fucking bangs. Spoiler alert. And then you just drop like 90 movies on us that we don't give a shit about. I just don't understand that, Mattel. Why would you do that? Mattel, we're not watching all those films. I promise you, we will not be covering all those films on this podcast. I can tell you that right now. I'm sorry.
No, not one of them. I refuse to cover the Uno movie.
Well,
The live action Barney movie don't need that.
starring Daniel Kaluuya.
If they put Daniel Kaluuya in it, I'm definitely pulling up. That will change my mind.
I'm right back.
I'm right back.
Daniel Kaluuya stars as Barbie. Florence Pugh is in there doing God knows what. I might be back.
Wasn't that the whole thing? Wasn't that the funny joke on Twitter, or was it real that they were like starring Daniel Kaluuya as Barney?
I have no idea. I have not seen that.
I'm assuming that's fake, but if Daniel Kaluuya said yes to it, I'm pulling up to the theater, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to be there. Fred Hampton as Barney? Yes, sign me up for that. Sign me the fuck up for that film.
Making speeches in front of everybody and everything. No, but thus is the kind of downfall, if you will, of partnering with major corporation. You know,
they're like,
make us more, please. Anyway,
they didn't even finish ringing out the rag of the Barbie winnings before they did this shit. It is disgusting. They could not wait a fucking week. I just couldn't believe that.
All right, so we're going long on this. Hopefully Sarah will join us. I don't know if she is or isn't, but
let's do Oppenheimer first then.
No,
just because I'm scared. I'm scared to do Barbie without a woman. I'm definitely afraid.
Dex, where are we at with that?
She said 10 to 20 like 10 minutes ago. So
okay, let's go ahead and do let's do Oppenheimer.
Okay.
We were going to do Barbie first because it is the number 1 at the box office right now. But let's go ahead and do Oppenheimer. Hopefully Sarah will join us here in a little bit. But Oppenheimer, 2023 movie, rated R. Every bit of 3 hours long, 8.8 on IMDb. Number 1 over Barbie on IMDb right now.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's just
rated higher.
I think it's trending popularity, so it's just movies people are clicking on. So like right now is Mission Impossible is number 3. So Oppenheimer number 1, Barbie number 2. The story of American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. Pretty straightforward. Written, directed by Christopher Nolan. Kai Bird also has a screenwriting credit. Martin Sherwin. I believe that was the writers of the book American Prometheus, if I'm not mistaken. But stars Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., that other white guy you know from that thing. The white guy from Scandal.
There's so many guys in this movie who I was just watching. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy. And then I was talking to other people in there, like, oh, you don't know that guy? I love him in fucking season 3 of that one HBO show. Like,
yeah,
no, I don't know who the fuck these people are.
Plus all of the cast from like Nickelodeon shows in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
fucking Josh Peck is here.
Josh Peck is here.
That was the one moment that took me a little bit out of the movie because I was like, is that Josh Peck? I think it is, but it can't be. But it is.
Also, Josh Hartnett being the hottest person that's ever lived.
Josh Hartnett was phenomenal in this film, by the way. He's having quite a year for himself.
Which one is Josh Hartnett?
He's fucking back.
Oh
my god.
The tall one, the one that's like a head taller than everybody in there.
How can you ask that question?
Sorry, brother. I don't. There's a lot of guys in this movie.
He's fucking back.
Ernest Lawrence, the one that scolds
He's the one
him
who
for being
told
a communist.
Oppenheimer, tells him not to do this shit in the lab. Like, don't bring his communist shit and his communist friends to the lab. He's that.
He the ops.
Kind of.
No, great performance by every character actor ever known to man, and then our girl Florence Pugh as Jean Tatlock. Just
Nolan's
giving it
going to jail for what he did.
Just giving it her all.
Nolan's going to jail for what he did to the Florence Pugh. That is the most talented working actress in Hollywood today. And this is the part that you gave her. You put this down in front of her and said, "Yeah, your tits are going to be out for the whole movie.
She
You're
took
gonna have
the
some
part,
sex."
brother.
Florence, this is a great film. You deserve better, Florence. This is a great film, but you deserve fucking better. This is Florence fucking Pugh we're talking about. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe the role that she was given.
A lot of similarities from that character to Dom Cobb's wife in Inception, if you remember her.
Yes, tons of similarity.
A lot of similarities. So yeah, it has. Now we have Sarah here. Oh no, we just started our Oppenheimer review.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well.
We haven't technically started our Oppenheimer review.
Okay.
We could just go to Barbie. Yeah, let's just go Barbie.
Should I cut all of that out?
No, leave it like that, and then we'll just go back to Oppenheimer as if your summary was done. Then we'll go into the actual review. We haven't even reviewed it yet.
Absolutely. Everybody listening to this will love
Let's
this.
work for you. Let's work for you.
All
They'll
right.
be all right. They'll hang in there.
Y'all understand, you know.
We're joined by Sarah for the first time since I don't know when.
A hot minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Sarah, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
You know, I'm just enjoying movies.
Just
All the movies. So many
living your
movies.
best life.
Movies are back.
Period.
Just enjoying
Real cinema
movies.
hours.
Absolutely.
Real
Tell
cinema
us
hours
really
indeed.
quickly, how was your experience with Barbie? Were there people dressed up? What was it like?
It was pretty mixed bag. The whole theater, I think there were maybe I think it was like one Oppenheimer showing, like Elemental, and the rest of the showings were Barbie. So
Wow.
everyone was pretty like committed to the bit, which I appreciated because I was also committed to the bit. And by that I mean I wore pink. I didn't like go crazy because whatever. But it was just really funny because they had showings like maybe 5 minutes apart from each other, like just back to back Barbie all day. And I went on Thursday. They were
so
committed.
early.
Early.
Okay. Well, let's do our Barbie review. Let's do the whole thing. Let me start that all over. Ignore the whole thing that I said about Oppenheimer.
No, keep it in your brain for the Oppenheimer segment. You just store it back there. We'll be there.
Just repeat
It will
everything
be
that I
there.
just. All right. So, oh shit. Operating computers are hard. Barbie 2023 PG-13, which is saying something in and of itself for a Barbie movie. This look, it is for kids, but it's also like not really for kids. It's
Yeah.
it's like for middle-aged women. Barbie suffers a crisis. Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. 7.5 on IMDb. You can't trust that website because people are poopy pants and weird on this website.
Yeah.
80 Metascore.
Couldn't have said it better.
Written and directed by Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach, who are actually together in real life, not in Barbie land. Margot stars, our queen, Ryan Gosling, and Margot Robbie. Also stars everyone else in Hollywood that wasn't in Oppenheimer. Issa Rae, Kate McKinnon, Emma Mackey, Alexandra Shipp, Harry Neff, Sharon Rooney, and I'm going to give everybody their props. Dua Lipa makes an appearance. Shout out.
Yeah. John Cena.
Yeah, and Simu Liu as otherkin. So sure, we'll talk about him.
Graphic is in every movie and TV show on TV right now. This guy's getting more money. This guy's getting so much money out of here. I didn't even know he was in this film until I sat down.
He's about to be Bob Marley.
Yeah, he's about to play fucking Bob Marley. This guy's everywhere.
Wait, who is this?
He's in Secret Invasion. He's the villain of Secret Invasion.
Kingsley Ben.
Not Simu.
Yeah, Kingsley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not Simu.
Kingsley is getting real money out here.
I would actually pay money to watch Simu Liu play Bob Marley.
Oh
no! I would be sick for the laughs.
That would bring him back. That would get him back in good graces.
Yeah, everyone
Full
on
circle.
everyone on Twitter would love that, I'm sure. It's also starring Michael Cera as Alan, probably the funniest fucking bit character of all time.
Incredible work by Michael Cera, who is a genius and a god.
America Ferrera, who gives one of the most empowering speeches that I think I've heard in cinema in a long time. Helen Mirren as the narrator, who just can get these checks, queen. And Will Ferrell as Ferrell as Mattel CEO, which tells you a lot about this movie. Anyway, we did the whole open. It's made nearly $200 million at this point, probably.
$470 million.
God
Worldwide.
damn.
Wow.
An hour
Yeah.
ago.
Worldwide. Jesus Christ. Okay. So $470 million. So they'll definitely be trying to get Greta Gerwig to make another one of these things, which
I
please
hope she
don't.
doesn't.
Anyway. Yeah.
She
90%
will.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Greta Gerwig likes money just like everyone else. She's definitely going to make another one. What are you talking about?
By Margot Robbie, Another House on the Gold Coast. 86% audience score. Barbie is a visually dazzling comedy whose meta humor is smartly complemented by subversive storytelling. I would mostly agree. Sarah, go ahead. Give your letter grade and review.
Honestly, just A. I laughed. I cried. I transcended. Collective. What's the word? Joy. I don't know. It was so.
I didn't see Oppenheimer. Don't judge me, okay?
But it was just really initially, you hear about like a movie being made of capitalist garbage, whatever, and then like you hear Greta Gerwig is like valid, like maybe this is gonna go somewhere, and as the part of me was like a little bit worried that it would not live up to like the absolute. It was everywhere for like months, and then it did, and it was so freaking perfect, almost perfect balance of just like light and funny, but full and like hit where it was supposed to hit, but then didn't like. I thought they did that really well. So yeah, solid A.
Solid A. So it's gonna be now 3 dudes talking about what we got out of Barbie.
So
Which
much.
is-
I'm ready.
Which is awesome. Tej, you took your niece to see this?
I was going to for my second viewing, but she got an ear infection, so we did not go. So I've only seen it once. But I give Barbie an A+. This film was phenomenal. Everyone's going to talk to you about Gosling, and he is amazing. But I have to say, Greta Gerwig is the star of this film. This film is masterfully thought out. There are certain things in this movie that literally should not work, that work. Even the stuff that should not work works even a little bit. Like the Will Ferrell character and having the Mattel actually be a part of the plot should be awful. It should ruin any flow that the movie has, but it doesn't, because the stuff in Barbie Land and the stuff that's happening on Barbie's journey is just too funny. There's too much comedy. It's too self-aware. It's really aware of the movie they were setting out to make. And when Ken enters the real world and starts to realize how men are treated in the real world, that is some of the funniest shit that I've ever seen on a movie screen. And what Gosling is doing there is just mind-blowingly good. Margot Robbie is always good. We always talk about that on this podcast. She's phenomenal. She's the perfect casting here. All disrespect to Amy Schumer, who is just a bad comedian and also not very funny, would have been horrible in this role. Margot Robbie is perfect.
Look,
True 180.
That would have been all time bad. It ruins the whole film.
Would have been. It would have been. Oh, look, she would have. It would have been sort of the same subversive, like look. It would have been a different subversive look at Barbie.
Half as funny.
That would have been what a fucking whiff to get to get Amy Schumer instead of Margot Robbie. Look, I just gotta call it what it is. Like that wouldn't have gone great.
But they're way. I love the fact that our Barbie, our protagonist, is called stereotypical Barbie, which is also acknowledging certain things about Barbie that have always been true, and what she stands for as a standard for women. what she was in terms of her diversity before they start to branch out and create other Barbies. But kind of that inclusive message of everyone can be Barbie is just hammered home here. And I think Greta Gerwig handles it pretty perfectly in humor. Also, I'm not a big fan of Lady Bird. I am a bigger fan of Little Women, although I don't think it's perfect, but mostly because of the performances in Little Women that I love. This is where I was finally like, this is the Greta Gerwig movie. She was meant to make this film, and only Greta could have brought this vision to life the way that she did. This is the funniest thing you're going to see at the movie theater for a very long time, because they don't put comedies in movies. They damn sure don't make comedy blockbusters. This movie has a message. It's funny. It's got heart. The cast is fucking beautiful and perfect. It looks like they had the most fun of all time on the movie set. Michael Cera just fucking crushes it. This is a phenomenal film. That the stuff that I won't spoil the ending of the movie, but the final scene basically is like,
Unbelievable.
okay, this should not work. It should not work for America Ferrera. It should not work. America Ferrera shouldn't be able to do that long of a dialogue about that topic in a film and have it feel like keep you in the moment. But like it works because all the investments there. I was blown away by what America Ferrera was doing with that monologue, and I was literally thinking, if you handed this to me on a piece of paper, I would say this will not work in a film. And Greta Gerwig does this film so well that shit fucking hits. And the end of this movie is good when it has no reason to be good. If I tell you the ending of this movie, you will say, that is stupid, that doesn't work, and you would be wrong because through movie magic, the shit works. I think Greta Gerwig made something fucking phenomenal within the constraints of a movie about a fucking doll that made a shitload of money.
From a mega corporation.
It's crazy. The mega corporation are characters in the movie, and somehow it still works. Greta is a genius. I was blown away by it. I can't wait to see it again. I gave it an A+.
Sarah, where are you at with Greta Gerwig?
Lady Bird was a Lady Bird. Oh my god, I can't talk. Lady Bird.
Hey, do me a favor. Can you unplug your mic and see if that's working? You're like breaking up a little. Like if you just unplug your.
It's like no
every other word
in terms of the
Is this better?
sequencing of your words.
Yeah, that's actually better.
That's much better.
Yeah. So Lady Bird, I thought was just really well done. Recovering Catholic, definitely related to all of the whole parental drama of that every girl experiences of laying on you all the time. Maybe not every girl, but like it's real. I was sold from that point. And then Little Women is a class ways you feel like that's hard to screw up because the subject matter so
lived in
classic. That's a stupid way to say it. But at the same time, it is easy to mess up because these are beloved that's been made several times and it's really delicate with the characters and the sisters and Lori's whole bullshit. So I did a job with that as well. But this is the movie that I think really, really sold me on her up until this point. The narrative of the show, and I feel like this movie, it was a combination of active efforts as well as the narrative, and so seamlessly worked and thematically worked and told this way such a a difficult story to do well, like Tej was saying. I'm a stan.
Okay, so it actually probably wasn't your microphone if you want to plug that back in, because now we're going to get my feedback. But if you want to dial out and come back in, it's maybe a connectivity thing.
Okay, please hold.
We'll do that. I'll give Dex, you want to give your review?
Yeah, I love this movie and I loved everything about it. It was an A+ for me. I didn't think that they could make a Barbie movie this good. Looking at the cast, looking at who the director was, I was like, okay, the Barbie movie is going to be cool. I saw the trailer and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be cool, but it's not gonna be like a good movie. You know, it'll be like just a thing that happened, like that we all went and saw, and that'll be fun. But it was actually just incredibly well made, and I thought they nailed it with story beats that, like T said, they should not work. They should have fucked this up at like every single point. Even something as simple as like having the Gen Z teenage girl in this movie, that would have like fucked up every like other director you can
Well, you
think
have
of.
the teenage girl
Facts.
problem.
I do have the teenage girl problem, and teenage girls always end up being just the fucking worst character in whatever movie they're in.
Well, luckily Greta Gerwig knows how to write teenage girls, so
Yeah,
that's
Greta Gerwig has apparently talked to a teenage girl at some point in the recent past.
or was one, you know.
But I meant like actually like making them feel like a real teenager in 2023 and not like, you know, yourself from 40 years ago. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it's like that's the
Yeah.
other option. But she actually made this teenager feel like a real Gen Z person who's like, fuck Barbie. Like, why would I care about that? That's like the fucking dumbest shit I've ever heard. It's all capitalist bullshit. Like, and that works, but it doesn't overpower the rest of the movie.
She
Like,
was really cooking Barbie in that scene. That shit
She
was
was.
hilarious.
Flame.
Margot was shook, bro. She was cooking her.
She cooked her, but it's like usually even if
Fried young. Unbelievable.
even if she like cooks Barbie at the beginning, it's like, oh, she's going to be the worst character ever now. She's gonna be an asshole all the time. But no, she's not an asshole. And they didn't let that like drama between, I don't know the teenage girl's name, between the girl and America Ferrera, like they didn't let that dominate the movie. Margot Robbie was still able to be in there being funny, having fun.
Yeah, that speech was always coming though. You know, the Barbie is what's everything that represents everything wrong with like women and everything, like the capitalistic and patriarchal society. And that speech was always coming, but the fact that you gave that character a chance to like be redeemable and not just a complete asshole the entire time.
Yeah,
I
like
agree,
the speech was always coming, but it's like that didn't feel like the entire movie, you know? Like even if, you know, you knew it was coming, or it's like I still got to see Margot Robbie like for an appropriate length of time being Barbie, and that being good and fun instead of it just always being trash, or instead of America Ferrera just always being like, yeah, being a woman is so hard. Like that was mixed into everything, but it felt like it should be there and not like an annoying, at least not to me. You know, you can ask your Republican non-feminist friends like if
Oh
it was
my
too much,
fucking
but
God.
for me it wasn't.
Why are
Like,
they starting a boycott of a movie that has already surpassed box office records? Can you just explain that to me?
No,
Shouldn't
I
they have been
cannot.
boycotting before we saw that it was going to be the biggest movie in the world? Fucking idiots.
Idiots. Yeah.
you-
Why, Ben Shapiro? Why are you standing in front of a trash can burning Barbie dolls? Why do you have those?
Why do you have those?
Did you
Ben?
buy those before or after?
Ben, can you please tell us why you have those, please?
Yeah. Why did you have those? Did you buy them specifically for this? Because that
Again,
doesn't
it's a
seem like an effective boycott. But
A recycled joke that I said about Elon Musk, but Ben Shapiro and the other child that he went and bought those tickets for in the trench coat must have had a wild time in the theater.
yeah, for me, someone who is not at all on the right wing, it just felt like the politics of it all never overpowered the rest of the movie, which is really hard to do. And I was fucking dying laughing at everything Ryan Gosling said and most of what Margot Robbie said and everything Kate McKinnon said and everything Michael Cera did. Like, there's just so many fucking funny things and funny people in this movie. I enjoyed it. I haven't enjoyed it, like truly enjoyed, like enjoyed a movie like that in a long time.
What'd you give it?
A+.
A+. I give it an A- only because, and this isn't a fault of the movie. Like, I saw most of this movie already in the trailers. Like,
That's true.
the marketing for this movie was so incessant and like incessant is probably the wrong word. Like I don't know. It was so intrusive is probably the better word, but intrusive and like you can't Google Barbie without Barbie flashes coming up on the screen. And so I saw half the jokes already, which made for an interesting viewing experience. Not to say that
Have
the
you guys ever
movie
thought about dying still hit in the theater, even though it was in the
Still.
trailer?
right.
That shit still knocked me off my fucking feet.
Everyone,
that shit
I
dropped.
laughed so hard, even though I had seen it in the movie, and I laughed a lot harder than I think people like really. They were like, "What?" I think people were shocked by that, and I was like, "This is the funniest fucking thing for a Barbie movie." You guys ever think about dying? And it's like, yeah, a lot. Think about it a lot.
Everything was so campy before that. That's the first where you kind of see like, oh, like I'm gonna pull the screen back and like this is not a campy movie. We give you your dance sequence and Lizzo's singing the song, but then we're gonna pull it back and now we're gonna get subversive. And it was perfect. It was perfection. Lizzo just crushed it. This movie's just so well written, man. They crushed that shit. It's crazy.
Well, I also want to talk about just the set design and the realness of it all, even for a fake
Tactile.
world. Yeah,
Mhm.
tactile. We say that word a lot on the podcast, but they used real sets. They had a real set design. She talked with the director of the Truman Show about how they made that movie and
Yep.
like what they went about, like how they went about making that set. Actually, that's a real town in Florida. We went to it, by the way, for the Truman Show. We got Sarah back.
And Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which
Yeah.
I felt those vibes for sure in this film.
So there's like, if you have headphones, we will take those. Sorry, because I was like hearing myself in the background. No, so like there was like a real feeling to the movie, and that's such a weird thing right now to talk about. Like they built a Barbie's dream house, and we were like, ooh, and
Like how?
we're like, oh my god, it's real. You know, it's not it's not a green
Not a
screen.
green
Oh my
screen.
god,
Yeah.
this thing feels like a real place.
Tom Cruise
crazy
showed
we
you the
have
light, brother.
It's
Turn
crazy
off
we
the
have to
AI. Go back to the old ways.
It's crazy we have to compliment movies for just using real things in movies as opposed to putting everything in the CGI or green screen. It's crazy we have to even mention that.
We're
Right.
coming.
Reject modernity is what we've always said. You know,
No analog, like Tom told us.
So yeah, that was really cool to see, just like the set design and how they did everything with it. I think the script is great. I think it's a great message that I think a lot of people need to hear. When we were walking out of the theater, Sarah, you'll love this. There was a guy, older, like a mid-40s dad, maybe early 30s mom, so already kind of an interesting relationship. But they had a couple kids, and they were walking out of the movie, and Caitlin and I were right behind them, and immediately the dad said, well, I think I lost a couple fucking brain cells watching that thing. And the poor woman was like, I really like the movie. And Caitlin was like, well, I know everything about that relationship I need to know right now.
Yeah, that tells you a lot.
That tells you more than you would ever need to know.
Yeah, we haven't talked enough about the Ryan Gosling of it all.
Dog.
God.
Listen,
Go ahead.
I never doubted. Okay, everyone was saying Ryan Gosling's too old. This Glenn Powell looks like a Ken doll. That, and I stood by my man. I was like, if any of y'all have seen Nice Guys, you know that this man is perfect for this role. He plays this lovable idiot so perfectly that like this was his destiny, and he came through. Like the whole movie, like zero misses. Was born for this.
It's truly unbelievable. Like, it's like, also, he's like the hottest person ever, too. Like, he's the most ripped anyone has ever been.
It was like watching Klay Thompson score 60 points on 11 dribbles. Like, he just could not, like, They passed him the ball. He shot it. Could not miss. Like, it was insane. Margot Robbie said anything, and Ryan Gosling just had a funny ass comeback just immediately every time.
And that's a kind of a critique of mine, is that it almost threatened to overtake the movie.
I was feeling that too. I said maybe Ryan Gosling's doing too good of a job in this film, but I think I'm giving Margot credit for a different type of performance. But it's right. It's just like that. Like, she's doing the Steph Curry, and he's just standing in the corner. Like, every time he passes me the ball, it's a 3. It's in. Every time I touch the ball, it's going in.
It's too easy.
Literally, it was incredible.
You can do all that ripping and running around screens. I'm gonna post up here in the corner and get my shit off.
What did you like? You said Glenn Powell, who I believe was up for this role as well too, but he could have done a version of this, I think, or been one of the Kens. But I think you're right, Sarah, when you say like
He doesn't have the whimsy. Like,
he's not a silly little guy
that you need, like, to be a Ken, and he's too serious. Like, you need that. Like, you need to go full in, like, lean into the like goofball energy. And Ryan Gosling can commit. So.
Yeah, Gosling did not take himself seriously. He's like, I'm willing to do whatever you guys tell me to do to make this movie funny. And that level of like self-assurance, and like, I'm gonna go 100 miles an hour every time I speak, just really works for the movie. It needed that energy from Gosling, and he gave it to him.
Now, you could make Glenn Powell the villain in the Ken spinoff movie. Like,
listen,
that I'm here for.
Or the suit, you know. I believe that too, but
Facts.
What, Sarah? I'm interested to hear your take on the this just shits on men sort of thing. When really, I think the whole messaging, and this is my take of it, is that the whole messaging was that like it also sucks for men in these worlds too. Like, so like what was the whole message? What did you take away from that?
Honestly, they could have been a little bit meaner to the men, in my opinion. Because in the girls' part, they were living their best lives. They were having girls' night every night, and the Kens were, at worst, just like a little bit irrelevant. And literally, he flipped that shit in a day, and now we have indentured servitude. Like, and they want to be like, this movie was so mean to men, and I'm like, did you not watch these girls? Like, that's a doctor serving him beer. Like, are you?
The president, Issa was
Pulitzer
like,
Prize
I'd rather just get my bae a beer. I don't have to think about anything.
Yeah, just brewski beers for the whole game.
No, it really is incredible, because even they say like the joke, you can be can I be a Supreme Court justice? It's like, you could be a lower court judge or whatever. It's like just a really good bit.
There's like a million jokes in this movie, and pretty much every one of them was fucking laugh out loud hilarious to me in my movie theater. Of course, I was a few drinks in, so like that has something to do with it. But
true. Me too.
We lost Sarah after that incredible bit.
When the Alan character, when he was with America Ferrera and the daughter, and they're seeing the guys on the side of the road, so now he's gonna fight them.
Yes.
He gets out of the car and he says, "Be ready for literally anything." And I laughed for about 20 minutes. Just the delivery of it. Michael Cera is so ridiculous, man. He's
just
so
watching Michael Cera beat the shit out of some random construction workers. I was like, this is the funniest movie I've ever seen. And Michael Cera didn't even really have to do anything in this movie. Just him being Michael Cera was funny every time.
Yeah, and it just like Ken's friend. It was a great joke.
All the Barbies that something weird happened.
That was Sarah's mic. I had to mute her for a second.
All the Barbies that they made that actually were in distribution of like horrible ideas, like a pregnant Barbie, one that had a dog that actually
the dog that shits. Yeah, Caitlin laughed out loud at that.
Ideas.
She was like, "That was a real thing." I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" She's like, "No, that was a real like the women in the theater." That's another thing. Make movies for women, because there's so much marketing towards women that just doesn't I don't know, that doesn't get talked about. That I had no idea about pregnant Barbie or dog shitting Barbie. Like, I had no idea And
Yeah,
Caitlin was like,
completely missed those.
absolutely was like, that was a real thing that happened. The Barbie with the TV in her back from the early 2000s.
Yes.
See, that one I knew was real, but just because it was too good to be a bit, like I'm like, there's
She
no
said, I
way.
have a TV in my back. That's
There's
just
no way
hilarious.
Greta Gerwig came up with that shit on her own. That shit is way too good to be a bit.
Yeah. So we got to talk about the product placement of it all. Honestly, like we're in the age of product placement has become movies with Air, so on and so forth. Air being the big one of the last year, but I mean,
There's so many good ones. This is the year
Blackberry
of the
beta
brands.
movie, yeah,
Tetris,
Tetris, which stunk, but like,
Flamin' Hot. Like this is the year of brand movies.
yeah, and it's something that like I think we are so accustomed to brands being in our everyday life that I'm not like it hasn't super bothered me, and we talked about this while on air that the branding of it all hasn't necessarily bothered me. It is interesting that Mattel, this is my overall point of the movie. It is interesting that Mattel was so willing to be shit on.
Yeah,
I think they did it for a check. They would do
all
it for
that
a
money.
check.
Yeah.
Because
Doing it for the check.
yeah, because I think they thought that the risk was worth, you know, making themselves look a little goofy, and that's why Mattel's not the villain of the movie. They're just like kind of like some bumbling idiots who are like, oh, we're
Mhm.
feminists, but we're not really like gonna lean either way, and we're just gonna kind of be a character but not really be involved because they didn't want to, you know, be villainized or anything. But then literally like with all this marketing, I mean, it's like just a great way for them to make money. And now they just announced that they're doing like a bunch more
Yeah, we talked about this.
IP spinoffs. And I think they were just like, listen, we'll take the hit if it means we can make some money. Like,
You say Mattel is a Gary Johnson in all of this?
Is Will Ferrell going to be in every single one of these Mattel movies now? Is he just going to
No,
be like
I was
that
saying
character in every
this has
This is his
studied-
bit.
he's like the new
This
Stanley
is his bit.
Mattel, just making an appearance.
Yeah, President CEO Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Well, it is in conversation with a few movies like The Truman Show, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but it's also in conversation with the fucking Lego movie.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. Very so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So, like, does that bother you, Sarah, at all? Does that bother you, the branding of it all? Because we were talking about, we watched Air and some other like big brand movies this year. Like, does that weigh into you like viewing a movie at all?
Yes and no. I think that the like brand store
Ooh.
done well.
Hold on. Pause.
I feel like that's just gonna be like a brand that we see. So with this,
What is happening?
I would say that it bothers me as much because with it feels
We're being taken over by the entity.
Oh my god. All right. God damn it.
Oh my God. That is the worst connection I've ever heard.
Well, you had one about a week ago.
Agent Smith is here. We're in Matrix 4.
Sarah, it sounded like you were being abducted by the aliens that are now here.
Yeah, apparently the aliens are here. We didn't leave with that, but you sound like they took you.
Uh-oh. No mic.
Look at this podcast silencing women.
Yeah, we're just we invited somebody on to talk about Barbie. I don't know what's going on here with their mic.
no, I don't.
There you go.
It's fine. Okay, we back. But yeah, no, when it's like, you know, overt, it's a little annoying. And this was like definitely heavy handed on the marketing, but like they didn't rely on product to tell the story. The story the product was existing, that feels a little less like they're just trying to sell me shoes or whatever the hell. So
Mhm.
no, to answer your question.
No, it is interesting time that we live in because we're so being sold by mega corporations, and like not to get too like deep, but like we're so being sold by mega corporations that they've now figured out like video game companies are now making movies based on their IP and so on and so forth, that like it is interesting where we are with all of this. I don't want to see like a continued like I don't know. I don't want to see like the fucking My Pillow movie or whatever, but like
My Pillow movie.
or the Sham Wow movie or whatever. But I don't know.
I personally bow to my capitalist overlords if it in the name of good cinema. If your film is good, I'm going to watch it. I don't care if the BlackBerry movie was some of the best shit I've seen this year. It was about a phone I never even had. I never even had a BlackBerry. I didn't care. Obviously, that's a little different because BlackBerry's not. I mean, I guess BlackBerry still exists, but they're not trying to sell that shit to me anymore. Whereas in the Barbie movie, they're doing still shots when she's throwing his clothes out of the house, out of the Mojo Dojo Casa house, which was fucking hilarious, by the way. When she's throwing his clothes out, they're like showing it in slow motion so you can see what like it is, like what actual outfit he's throwing out. And I thought it added to the aesthetic of the movie, and I thought it was played as a joke when actually it's an advertisement. But if it's played as a joke, it works because the movie's so funny. It's just another joke. So but it didn't bother me at all when I was watching.
It just depends on how the movie works. If they made a shit movie like this, we'd be like, ugh. But it was a good movie.
Feel nasty, so. Yeah. But it was a good movie, so it's fine.
Honestly, I was more annoyed by it turning into a Chevy ad in the middle, like than I was by all the Barbie stuff.
That felt more like overt product placement than the whole thing of Barbie.
Yeah, like America Ferrera driving a fucking getaway Chevy Blazer. I was like, get that out of here.
I genuinely forgot about that. I turned to my wife.
Blazer.
I turned to my wife and I was like, "This is a Chevy ad." In the middle of it, it jumped a curb and like had a boost, like a turbo boost. It was like, God damn.
Yeah, I was like, get that out of here, man. I don't want to see that shit. But yeah, they're like the actual Barbie advertisement didn't bother me at all. I was literally on the internet as soon as I got out of the movie theater, like, where can I buy an I Am Knuff hoodie? Like, I need that.
I need it yesterday.
I need that. I actually do need that. You can sell that to me. I need that very much.
Sarah, what do you think about Ryan Gosling's one, singing I'm Just a Kid, and two, that Barbie and Ken don't end up together? The whole thing is that I'm an independent woman sort of thing.
It was never like that.
The singing is great, and I feel like I'm Just Ken is Chef's Kiss. I feel like not enough people are talking about Push, where he just starts singing random syllables and he's just like singing after, because that's truly like one of the best parts of the whole movie, where he's just like, hey, like, I'm gonna play guitar at you, and then they just keep going, and then it's like,
wow.
Rob Thomas, in fact, got on stage this weekend and was like, I want to dedicate this song to Ryan Gosling.
As he should. And I'm like, how many of us have been pushed? I swear the theater collectively gasped. Like, we were all like, oh my God. But then as far as them like and not ending up together, I don't know. I feel like, you always think of Barbie and Ken and like that's fine, but I feel like their plots, their emotional journeys went in some ways like the same direction of like, oh, like life is hard for us as, for different reasons, and like different genders for different reasons, but then also like his plot was so centered on like ruining her life that it would be like just a slap in the face to everyone if they got together in the end. Like, yeah, I know I took your house and like enslaved your friends, but like, let's be together.
It's just because
like,
I loved you. That's why.
Don't we
must
all?
be
Who
boyfriend girlfriend.
Done that.
It'd be like Peach ending up with Bowser in the Mario movie.
Right? Like, it's just not. It wasn't gonna work. Ken had some growth to experience.
When he took over, when she gets back to Barbie Land and realized that he has taken over, that is some of the. I was in stitches when that happened. I could not. It was such a smart turn of the movie. I I just thought it was fucking phenomenal all across. Bravo, Greta Gerwig. Bravo.
The real through line of Barbie and Oppenheimer is that men love horses.
Men fucking love horses.
My
I'm a
favorite
man
joke
and
in
I
the
don't
whole
like horses.
my favorite joke in the whole movie is I'm gonna go look up books about trucks. It's fucking great, man. I mean,
So good.
like
him feeling like he's being respected because someone asked him literally what time it was just perfect, bro. Like it's just that interaction. That woman is so awkward in the interaction. She's like, yeah, I mean, I'm just asking the time. She's so awkward, and Gosling's just playing it like he doesn't realize how awkward the situation is, and he just crushes it, man. It's perfect.
And then later he has like 3 watches, and he's like,
Mojo Dojo Casa House is unbelievable. Also, the best joke in this movie, besides I'm gonna go read books about trucks, is let me explain the plot of The Godfather to you.
Dude, I was fucking dying at that shit.
He was already watching it with someone, and literally he's like, "Wait, you haven't watched The Godfather?"
Even
he's
just
like,
the
he
way
just started
Issa
over
Rae
and talked through
says
the whole
it.
thing, and he's like, yeah.
There's also a
Issa Rae put
Snyder
that, like,
cut.
space
The
in there.
There's a Snyder cut
The
joke in this film, which
Godfather?
really works.
People are very mad online about that Snyder cut reference, by the way.
Yeah, because
Bots
those
are very
dweebs.
mad
Of
online.
course, those dweebs are really bad, and that's the right people to offend. Good job, Greta Gerwig. Fuck those people that like the Snyder cut.
Honestly, that's how I feel about Barbie. Like in a nutshell, it offended exactly the people I wanted it to offend, and I'm glad that happened to them.
And it's great because I'm like, you're really mad about this pink movie with dolls in it. Like, go touch some grass. Like, it like truly, it is not that deep.
Wait, is Barbie the biggest go touch some grass movie of all time?
Might be.
Top contender
Yeah.
for sure.
Anybody in that theater that heard that Snyder cut line and took even 1 second's worth of offense deserved everything that they got. And also, the Snyder cut fucking sucks, and we don't care about your movie taste. Please don't share them with the rest of us. Thank you.
Yeah, keep that shit to your goddamn self. We're good over here.
Sarah, what's the last movie that a man tried to explain to you?
Oh, what a great question this is.
Oh God, most recently, I think Wolf of Wall Street.
Probably Oppenheimer.
Wolf
Not
of
yet.
Wall.
Oh,
That works. That fucking works.
Yeah,
Oh,
No.
that sucks.
I'm like, yeah, we watched the same movie. Like, I understand what's going on. Like,
Wait, did he think it was it wasn't a satire? Did he think it was like
no, he was like
loved it?
full send. Like,
He worshipped Jordan
Oh
Belfort.
Yeah.
no!
He's
No.
like, you just no, I can't. It's
I
bad.
went to like a movie on the rooftop thing with Wolf of Wall Street about a month ago, and one of my friends had never seen it, and she's a woman. And as we're sitting there watching the movie, she leaned over to ask me a couple questions, and I leaned over and I said, "I'm not going to mansplain this film for you the entire time we're sitting here
We'll talk
because
in the
I
car.
felt it in my bones."
I'm
And
gonna
you
get
know,
it wrong.
I will sit and talk with someone about a movie the whole time, but I'm not going to mansplain. I'm not going to explain things to you. Just enjoy the film. We'll talk about it after.
That's an unbelievable film to like. That's an unbelievable like gauge of where you are on the spectrum of like.
That's facts. How you feel about that
Feminist.
movie says a lot about you.
Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
likes it, but why
Yeah.
do you like it is exactly the question. that you
Why do you like it so much?
Yeah, why do you love it so much? Because if you see yourself in Jordan Belfort, then I'm gonna have to ask some further questions.
Oh my god. Real quick, what did we think about the ending where they talked to it wasn't really her because she died in like 2002, but
They
like
talked to Rhea Perlman.
they talked to the inventor
Perlman,
of Barbie, who is who was investigated for tax fraud, which is an incredible joke that they
Hey.
worked into the.
Fuck them.
queen.
But her emotional moment is one is with the old woman at the bus stop, which I enjoyed more than the ending moment actually. But like
Same.
the ending with the Billie Eilish song, which is going to be nominated for an Oscar again, is she is talking to the creator of Barbie, who who Will Ferrell jokingly says keeps an office on the ghost of the woman keeps an office on the 17th floor, which is a funny just throwaway line. But she's talking to her in this like nether region between real life and life, and they're
In
talking
limbo.
about what it means to be a woman, what it means to be real, what it means to be alive and dead, and they just sell that shit. But it's also like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this? What
It
are we
ruled
doing?
so hard. I loved it so
Barbie
much.
is talking to God, and people
Yeah.
were breaking down and crying.
But
in
God
that movie.
is
I
the
was
inventor of
tearing up.
Mattel that is
Yes.
wanted for tax fraud. Like, what
Barbie
are we talking
God.
about?
Barbie
Yeah.
God.
It's
If
her
you live in Barbie
creator.
land, the
Like,
inventor of Barbie is your god. Yeah.
I guess she's talking to her creator. Sarah, what did you think about sort of the ending of it and the final joke, actually?
honestly, I thought it was so good. Like, with stuff that gets really really meta, I feel like it can really go either way. And I think they kind of like, haha, like they got the jokes out. They did the call back to her like meeting this lady earlier, and then they kind of had this moment of like, okay, like, you know, I'm the one who created you, so like, or you're the one who created me, so tell me like where this story goes. Which, you know, she's just like, it's kind of up to you. But I just thought it was executed so well in a way that, like, you know, you kind of get these glimpses of like Margot or Barbie learning to feel things throughout, you know, like she's sitting on the bench and like watching people in the park, and she talks to the woman, and then like later on she's experiencing those feelings that like America Ferrera was feeling. And then in Barbie Land she just has like a mental break, and like now she's kind of like come full circle with like this emotional being of like, okay, yes, I feel a lot of sadness, but also there's so much joy. And it's what makes the joy more powerful, because, you know, every day is a great day in Barbie Land, but like it's not the same as like when you experience the lows. So I think they executed that really well. And then just like at the end, when you're just like, okay, she's found her purpose, like what's next? Like she's discovered what it means to be human. And then it's like the most mundane, horrible task that you could be
An
like
incredible
subjected
ending.
to as a- and it's like, oh yep, like there you go.
Ending joke, one of the funniest, but I should mention that before that scene when she's having a nervous breakdown, they make the very apt and very good joke that they should have made the entire time, where Barbie is saying I'm ugly, and Helen Mirren gets an
That
insert
was
to say,
amazing.
note to the filmmakers, you shouldn't have cast Margot Robbie to make this joke, is unbelievable. It's like the most meta, like it was. Everybody in the theater let out like a sigh of relief when we were like, "Oh yeah!" Like it was just,
You're
it was great.
yeah.
That was the moment when my entire theater was like, "Oh fuck yeah, this movie fucking rules!" Like
They get it, you know. They know
this
what
is
we're looking at.
that's the moment where it went from like this is fun to oh this is one of them ones. Like they fucking know.
Well, because, like, you know, especially with all the, like, Amy Schumer deal, right? Like, obviously, if she was Barbie, like, that feeling, that moment would have had a way different feeling. And you want Barbie to be Barbie because then you have, you know, it's more authentic to the character because it's, and the story, because it's like she's this perfect doll, basically. But then to kind of lean into that and be like, yeah, she's the wrong person to make this point, but then she's the right person to make this point. Because if even the most like stunning bombshell, like obviously she's acting, but like representation of beauty and feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Also, like,
No, I think that's it validates itself to like even we feel like, feel like this. Some people would take that on the chin though. They'd be like, God damn it. But the joke, I think, wraps it all up perfectly. Tej, what do you think about the ending? What do you feel? Because you mentioned that at like an hour ago at the beginning.
It worked for me. It shouldn't have worked, but it really worked for me. The emotional payoff vibes are amazing. The kids going to war is just peak content. I just
God, I
loved it.
love that.
It was just incredible. Greta Gerwig is really her And I have never disrespected her name. I don't think as a director, even though I don't like Lady Bird because I don't identify with or see myself in Lady Bird. I also don't identify with and really see myself in the vision of white feminism. But this movie does such a good job of pointing out their own white
You don't say?
feminism and like well, they're literally pointing out their own white feminism and getting checked on those tropes. And I thought it did just enough with the way that it was cast and the way that they treat the stereotypical Barbie that it was like, okay, Greta Gerwig is aware of seemingly all the real criticisms of this movie that it's going to get, not from the dweebs and the incels, not from that, but like people that actually came to the film wanting to enjoy it. She was very aware of what the criticisms would be, and she responded to them in her own film. And I just thought it was so self-aware and smart. That the ending really worked for me. I really liked it.
Jackson.
Yeah, I didn't come into Barbie thinking that it would make me, it would like redeem humanity right after Oppenheimer was like humanity stinks. Barbie is like, oh, the human experience is good and worth having, and like you should be really happy about it. I was tearing up as they were playing like that like montage of
What was I
videos.
made for?
Yeah, fucking Billie
By the way,
Eilish is
don't
back
listen to
there
that
crooning.
song when you're working at an office job.
No,
Not great.
I was definitely listening to Push at the office, but not what was I made for? And Closer to Find, the car song. That but yeah, dude, like I wasn't expecting the fucking Barbie movie to like move me to tears about the human experience. Like that montage of Margot Robbie in limbo while like these adorable little home videos are playing, like making it look cool
I'm
as
not
shit
gonna-
to be a woman.
I don't want to I keep interrupting you, but the first time that they showed like the mom and like America Ferrera's character and her daughter like having differences or like hugging and stuff, I like got really sad. I was like, God, man, like I got like it was early on in the movie. I was like, woo, brother. But the first time that Margot Robbie sheds a tear at the bus stop, I was like, what is this movie? You know, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I love Barbie, dude. What a movie. What a film.
I love Barbie, dude. The
I love
5-star
Barbie,
reviews.
dude. Horses and trucks. We out here.
Incredible performances all around. Shout out to Issa Rae, who was great and very sexy. I love you, Issa Rae. Please marry me. Thank you.
Cosign.
Every fit in this movie is the perfect Halloween costume.
Also,
Can't wait.
Oh, they're gonna do gangbusters with Halloween costumes. It's gonna be a joke how much money they're about to make in Halloween.
Every fit on the press tour,
Yeah,
immaculate,
unbelievable.
and they didn't even get to get them all off because of the strike. Like they had more fire in the tuck than they were gonna give us. It's crazy.
that's the main thing that the strike is taking away from. Not the strike itself, but the reason that we're striking is taking away from us. It took away the Barbie fits. We could have had so much. We could have had so many amazing pictures of Margot Robbie that won't exist now. You did that to us, movie studios.
Sarah, do you have anything else to say? We're breaking in and out.
Yeah, no, I was.
You're in a fishbowl right now.
Basically.
In Barbie Land. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just so like people, you know, like you think it's intended for a certain audience, but I truly feel like this movie was for everyone or everyone who was willing to like take something from it, not like, you know, like that dude that, you know, was shitting on it or whatever. But I think like there's just something for everyone, and I think that's really hard to do in this kind of thing where it's so very clearly coded towards a specific audience. So I think Barbie bucks.
Thank you to Sarah Johnson for coming on. We appreciate it. We're
We
going to
appreciate you, Sarah.
now talk about Barbenheimer. We're going to talk about the second half of that, Oppenheimer, a movie that really, you know, super feminist in its thoughts about women.
Totes.
Sarah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, totally.
Talk to you later.
Oh my god, that audio.
That was in it. I'm gonna have to cut some of that because that was she was talking
to do.
Yeah,
that was a lot.
talking in a fishbowl. I am going to take a 2-minute break, and we will be
Yeah,
back
same,
to
same,
talk
same.
about Oppenheimer, the real movie in this podcast, right after this. All right. I should have been marking down when she was cutting in and out.
Every time she spoke.
Well, there was some few clips in there that would have made it.
Fucking Astros, man.
Couldn't have good things tonight, right?
I would have been the worst person in America had we
If we
won
would have tied
tonight.
them, yeah. You're already getting in preemptive arguments with Rangers fans.
I was
online.
talking so much shit. Fuck, dude. I mean, it's fine. We're gonna win the division anyway, but like,
as a Houston sports fan, you can't have too much. Like them coming back was already tipped the scales that we were going to get blown out. That's what I believe, actually.
this is what happens when you put Maldonado in the starting lineup. All I'm saying.
Oh, I'm glad you're not a Maldonado defender either.
Hell no. Nah. Give me Diaz, bro. Fuck
Trash.
that.
All right, we're back. Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer reviews.
The real movie men came to see, real guy movie. This one about
for us tortured geniuses who society doesn't understand,
including Christopher Nolan himself, which is another.
Yeah, Nolan was not subtle in the whole tortured genius thing being about him. Not at all, Nolan.
Every movie he has an analog for himself. This one is the most apparent. And it just happens to be his best movie, which is fucking crazy.
It slaps you in the face how much this is a movie about Christopher Nolan in the eyes of Christopher Nolan, but it still fucking slaps.
You can definitely tell he was reading American Prometheus. Like, he just like me for real. Every annotation in that book of his is he just like me. This is so me.
This is about me and me alone.
Didn't Drake just do that in this freestyle? He compared himself to like I forgot who the historical figures were, but he basically was like,
Jesus
I bet
and
you they were
Julius
good.
Caesar.
Yeah, Jesus and Julius Caesar. Drake goes, I see myself in them. I bet they were nice guys. And it's like, all right, Drake, we understand. You have a high thought of yourself. Calm down, brother. Calm
Combination, right? Combination.
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 I wasn't gonna do that voice. Yeah, so Oppenheimer, I read the entire synopsis early on, an hour ago in this podcast, but it's about Oppenheimer, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and his venture through his college years and study abroad into the Trinity test, even into him getting kicked out of the Atomic Energy Commission. Which is that even a thing anymore?
Well, technically, he lost his security clearance. Like
Yeah.
he lost his security clearance.
So, a thing that everybody cares about, by the way.
That's
Yeah,
what makes
I
the
was
movie
heavily.
so genius.
I was like, "How you gonna?"
That's
snatch
what
the
makes
security-
the movie so genius.
How
With
you gonna snatch
nobody,
security clearance from my man's.
nobody
It's
knows
like
or
a-
cares
it's-
about hearings like this.
It's such a mundane thing, but to make it as like interesting, I think, as they did, like people have gone back and forth on the third hour of this movie, the third act of this movie. But before we get into it, it's like the fact that you care enough about this shit is like, okay, sure.
That's fucking filmmaking because nobody gives a shit about AEC hearings and nobody gives a shit about congressional cabinet appointment hearings
Confirmations,
either.
yeah.
But he made that shit into real cinema with real stakes and it was tense as fuck. That's fucking filmmaking. It's mind blowing what he was able to accomplish there.
Dex, J. Robert Oppenheimer. Again, this is hundreds of millions of dollars at this point for an R-rated, something that wasn't really promised in the marketing of this movie. If you watch just the trailers, that this is a 3-hour biopic character study about J. Robert Oppenheimer and not necessarily about the Trinity test and Los Alamos. This is just about Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer.
This is Tar for Boys.
Yeah. Boy
Whoever-
dinner, if you will.
Whoever
Boy
made
Tar.
that tweet,
Tar.
whoever made that tweet, you're a genius. This is Tar for Boys. Like it's the 3-hour character study of this guy who's obviously a genius, but has questionable morals and is also really him. And like, there's nothing you can do about the questionable morals. 'Cause he's really him.
Also gets fucking ass, like gets laid.
Yeah, gets ass.
Oppenheimer
Constantly.
fucks, guys. He fucks.
The
In this
scientist
film.
that fucks, Robert. Anyway, sorry, I'm off the road. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I love this movie too. I came out of this. I went and saw it on Thursday before I saw Barbie. Like I said, saw Barbie on Friday, but I came out of this movie late at night. My showing was at like 9. Got out of the movie theater at like 12:30. I was like, "Fuck, dude! I fucking love movies. Like, it's so hard to do what Christopher Nolan just did, and there's no other medium that lets you tell a story as effectively in 3 hours as movies do." And this, like, coming out of this movie theater, I was thinking about that. Like, there's so much shit that he just weaves into this movie, like all the relationship dynamics of it all, the politics of it all, the fucking underdog story of the guy who built a bomb, all the fucking complete like mental grappling you have to do after you build a big ass bomb like that. Like, all of that is so hard to make work together in a gripping 3-hour movie that feels like everyone gets the right amount of screen time, everyone gets the right amount of dialogue. Like, you got to figure out how you can get Rami Malek his 15 minutes off the bench. Like, you know, like,
Sure, you did.
if you're gonna have Rami Malek in your movie, who I think is fucking ass, you gotta figure out a role for him where he doesn't blow the game for you. He'll shoot you out of the game real quick. You gotta get
Bradley
That's an
Beal.
Academy Award winner, and he doesn't get his moment until the last like 15 minutes of the film.
because they
That's
were
just-
like, we know you were putting up
That's
empty numbers on a
insane.
bad team.
Yeah, sit on that
Well-
bench. Okay, once we're up 10, you get in there. You get in there, Rami. Do your
Yeah,
thing.
you were calling
Run your
ISOs in
offense.
Bohemian Rhapsody because you had a bunch of bums out there. But you got to move the ball around here.
Bradley Beal on the Suns next year.
Yeah, facts. yeah, hey man, sometimes Chris Paul, you old, you gotta come off the bench. But
There's so many sports analogies for this fucking movie. That's unbelievable.
yeah, Oppenheimer, best sports movie of 2023. Let's start
Yeah,
the
let's start.
conversation.
Let's start it.
But yeah, man, like I said, I just love how they weaved everything together in this movie. It felt compelling throughout the entire runtime. I'm never going to say that this 3-hour movie didn't feel like 3 hours, because yes, it did. My ass hurts. I want to get up, but
I gotta pee. I have to pee so bad.
Gotta pee so bad. I came in with a large soda. That was a mistake. But yeah, they weaved it all together seamlessly. So I was locked in the entire time. The speech he gives after the test, the most
Oh my God.
shaken I've been by a movie
Unbelievable.
scene in a long time. Like the
And actually,
screen is
people
literally
are
shaking, and I'm
back
like,
and forth on that scene.
How? What? They're
yeah,
wrong.
what is not to like?
I don't know, like either how subjective it is from his personality, or like I don't know. There's a lot of bad faith arguments going on about. And maybe this is not the platform to have this conversation, but sure, there's a lot of bad faith arguments going on about Oppenheimer the person, and
Yep.
if this movie is worth telling for him to be lionized in this way. I don't think this movie necessarily does that, but also the lack of representation for the victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that scene in particular, people are saying, well, it's not enough for that scene to be the representation of how he feels post blowing up a society.
I disagree strongly.
No, and that's fine. Like, I'm not. This is the argument, and just like it. My thing is that it always was and always is just about the man himself.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's why the movie works. I think if you try to make a movie about, it's like I don't think Nolan is taking a position on Oppenheimer other than the position of this guy's a genius, and so we should respect and appreciate that this guy's a genius. I don't think he's making a statement about whether Oppenheimer is good, whether Oppenheimer made the right decisions. And I would suffice it to say that much like Interstellar, there's multiple points in this movie where he's being cautioned about what's going to happen to him if he does what he's trying to do. People were telling him from the beginning, hey, you have to think about what happens after you give these people this bomb. Not only how they're going to use the bomb, but how they're going to treat you and what you're going to become. It's all there. It's in Prometheus. It's in the first line of the movie.
The first opening.
It's right there.
He gave them the power to destroy themselves.
So I don't think it has anything to do. I don't think he's taking a value judgment on Oppenheimer himself. It's supposed to just tell you the story of the American Prometheus. This is what he did, and this is what happened as he did it. And I thought people were. I think those criticisms aren't fair because I don't think this is a pro Oppenheimer movie at all. I don't think it is. I didn't get those vibes at all.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't see I can come away from this movie being pro Oppenheimer unless, I mean, I say that like jokingly, like Oppenheimer had all the bitches and he was a genius or whatever. But like seriously thinking about the movie, like there's no way you should come away with this being like, yeah, Oppenheimer, what a great guy. You should be like, yeah, he fucking fucked the world up. Like whether you knew you're doing it or not, you fucked the world up.
There's also a thing here too that me and my coworker Andrew Hamilton, who I do a show with at my work, we were talking about just letting movies be about what they're about, instead of like including. We've come to a place, and it's gonna get really Republican right now on this argument, but it's come to a place where we're like, everything has to be about everything. You know what I mean? Every film, every piece of media has to include all sides. You know what I mean? Where it's like, can we not let us tell a biopic about a historical figure?
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Where it's like, yeah, some biopics aren't, should we really take a hard look if we were going to tell a biopic about, I don't know, Mao Zedong or like really treacherous people, but
Napoleon is coming, for example.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like, he is a very black. I mean, not to like steal from the movie, a very black and white figure. You know, he's a really like he. It's really interesting how we look at this guy in history, and we're just not the Twitter discourse is not letting movies be about what they're about. Instead, we're trying to include things which are worth telling, which have been, mind you, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
They made a movie
explosion.
about that.
They've been told throughout Japanese cinema forever
Yeah.
for the past 90 years, or not 90 years, 70 years. And if you want that version of the story, you can go and find it. But I think we can talk about it later in the reviews about what happens in the second act.
Woo, that second act is
Yeah.
a fucking thrill ride. Holy shit.
Like, I think it would be disingenuous for Nolan to include the atrocities that happened to those people just as like a sidebar.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like, why, to what end do you want to see like Japan actually blow up? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does
No,
that
thank you.
accomplish in this movie? It's about Oppenheimer. It's called Oppenheimer. It's about him. You know, it's a biopic about him. So if you like basically stop the movie so that you can go watch Japan blow up, like, what does that do?
Where
You
he
know
was
what I'm
not
saying?
at, by the way. He was not in
Yeah.
Japan. He didn't even get a
He's
phone
in
call when it was
fucking
happening.
New Mexico. He's about as
Yeah,
far
he
as
was in
away
New
you could be.
Mexico.
So it's like, yeah, why do you want that in this movie? Like, I get, you want the
Representation for the people
you want
that
representation,
suffered,
and you want like the
No,
side
not
of the
that
story
kind.
told,
That would've
but
been
it's like,
gross
yeah,
to me.
you don't need that, because if
We
it
want to
was in the
represent
movie,
Japanese
we
people
would,
by having them get blown up on our screen for
Exactly.
entertainment. That's gross.
Exactly.
yeah, and like you can't. First of all, you shouldn't put that burden on Nolan to tell that story, like, and make it mix in with this other story that's related only like tangentially. But I can't imagine like having to write some character that it's like, this is the Japanese guy who is going to blow up in this Oppenheimer movie. Like, that doesn't.
Yeah, let's meet him and his family. Right
Well, yeah,
before
that
the bomb
doesn't.
drops. Like, why are we doing that?
Yeah, for what? Like, that's not really a part of this, So yeah,
Yeah, I
let
guess,
it be
but
about what it's
also
about.
that scene that you were referencing a little while ago about him giving the speech and then having the woman with the spoiler, having the woman with the skin coming off of her face and him stepping
That
on
was
the charred
horrific.
body. It was horrific, but I think people
But it was
were like,
horror. He said he was trying to make a horror
yeah,
movie.
I think people were like, either don't do it or do it. I was the argument. I don't know if I agree with that, but it is the argument.
Yeah, I like I said, I disagree. I don't think we need to see that. I think it's more affecting the way that it's done to me, and also like it doesn't. I feel like he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't, because if he did, we'd be like, you didn't do it right, or you shouldn't have done it. And since he didn't do it, we're all like, why didn't you do it?
Well, also, we know what you're fucking doing. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The illusions are enough to me.
And yeah, that scene of where Oppenheimer's like sitting in like the presentation or whatever, and they're talking about and like going through the slideshow of what happened in Japan, and he's like, fuck, like, I think that's enough for the viewer to get it,
Yeah. So sorry, Dex, for all of that. Finish what you thought about this epic of a movie, I guess.
Yeah, it was great. Cillian Murphy's great. And if he wins the Oscar, I mean, obviously it's early, but if he wins the Oscar, that'll be fine. I'll be okay with that. Robert Downey Jr., also fantastic. Yes, he's still doing Tony Stark, but it works. It's going to work every time.
It
until
really
I
fucking
die.
works. I'm sorry, guys. It works.
I am going to love it until the day that I die. I will watch Robert Downey Jr. play Tony Stark in a million different situations.
Best
forever.
character of all time. Yeah.
So that worked. Florence Pugh didn't get nearly enough to do in this movie, but whatever. Emily Blunt, she's fantastic.
Emily Blunt's great. She's just another one of the best young actresses in Hollywood, by the way.
Also,
is she young?
No, she's in her 40s.
Middle-aged. Yeah, well, one of the best talents in Hollywood right now, for sure. Emily Blunt also was great in this film.
I would argue not enough to do.
I would argue the same thing, but it's an older movie. So in comparison to some of the other women, including the other big name woman in this particular movie, and maybe the only other women that you see, she got a lot to do, but not nearly enough to do because she's super talented.
Yeah, there was a third woman who literally like didn't talk. It was still like supposed to be important to the story.
The scientist.
There's a third scientist, and they like make a joke about her pregnancy and her organs. Like they make a woman joke at her. That's about the extent of her involvement in the film. But yeah,
I was talking about his last mistress.
Oh yeah, she literally doesn't get words.
Thus is the kind of crossroads that we're at in Hollywood, that this many, like, I don't want to like dig too deep into it, but it kind of is a symptom of the problem, is that this many huge actors, one, are willing to take, like, I mean, you used to see this in Hollywood all the time. Like there's like 1,000 like Hollywood Walk of Fame actors in like the Bridge Over the River Kwai or whatever. But like there is something to this, that it says there aren't enough like meaty projects out there for these classically trained actors to sink their teeth into.
Yep.
That like 18 of them are showing up for 15 minutes in a Christopher Nolan movie, because it's like the only project out there that's giving them something to do.
Yeah, I mean, I get that criticism generally, but I think Nolan's just different, man. Like,
yeah,
Matt
I guess
Damon-
he's one of those directors who you're going to show
He's
up
a
for.
singular talent, man. He's literally
Yeah.
a singular talent.
And a Christopher Nolan movie just means something different. Like, if everyone was showing up for a, I don't fucking know, mediocre director X movie, like, then that's different. But yeah, I think Nolan is just that guy. He calls, you come. Like,
It's going to be meaty, and it's going to be a blockbuster every time he's on your phone. Unless you're a woman, in which case it will be a blockbuster, but it won't be meaty at all. In fact, it'll be degrading. But
David O. Russell's a director I feel comfortable shitting on and saying you shouldn't just show up because he calls.
You know what? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, David O. Russell. Let's go with that one. Took me a minute to get there.
Tej, what did you think about this film and its surrounding narrative?
I can't believe that Christopher Nolan made a procedural. This is a talky fucking movie, guys. This is literally just people in rooms talking and intercut between random moments of tension that are like supposed to be neutrons in atomic world, and all of a sudden a second act where you have the most tense, coolest fucking thing that leads up to the first test of the bomb, which is the big. This is the part of the movie that only Nolan could make. Like only Nolan could do the stuff around the bomb. That's why that's why this is a Nolan movie. No one else. Quentin Tarantino can't create that tension. Quentin Tarantino can't create what it looks like for a bomb to go off.
It's a different
what
tension,
it feels
because
like.
the tension in the last movie that he made, where they fought the killers, I was like on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, true. He can create tension. Don't get me wrong, but this particular, it's the advertisement in the film version of like what he did in Interstellar when you're going into space and going into a black hole. That's something Nolan can show you on a screen, right?
Yeah,
Nolan has shown across his career that he could do these huge, big moments, not just a big set piece, not just a shootout, but like physical manifestations. The scene I watched Interstellar again because this is obviously a science movie, so it made me think of it. Like the scene where he wakes up and he finally realizes that everything's okay. The stuff in Inception, what's happening with the buildings where everything's shifting. Like Nolan can show you this stuff that would be normally hard to put on the screen. So Nolan is perfectly fit to show you like, here is what it looks like and feels like and sounds like for a bomb to go off. And here is how I'm going to make the psychological torture that this guy's going through feel like that same tension for you. That's just, he made 800 great decisions. The first hour of this movie, where it's basically just getting to know everybody and realizing the tension between this guy who's got communist leanings. He attended some communist meetings. He's got friends that are communists, and he likes some of the communist ideologies, but he's never been a part of the party. But his ideologies and his thinking quite literally put him directly.
He wasn't, though. He wasn't, though.
he literally says he broke from the Communist Party specifically because they didn't want to use the bomb that he was making. So, like, that was the break in his politics in terms of where he stood with the Communist
Use my
Party.
science, bitch. I'm not a commie. It's a crazy fucking stance.
Realizing that like this guy is the most brilliant guy and is the guy that can get the job done, but also because of who he is, you literally have Soviet people. Like it was already probably going to happen anyway, but now you have spies around that are getting information. Like, and so you have the Soviets actually get to a quote unquote atomic bomb first. They have an atomic test first. And the amount of tension that places on the film in terms of his interactions with everyone is just so genius, and it creates so much tension in that first act. And I miss on my first viewing some of the nuances of the coming and goings of the people, because there's a lot of people in this movie, a lot of great performances, even in small roles, but there's a lot of people, a lot of white men specifically that run together on the screen. And the second time I watched it, when I'm able to see who everybody is early, I really got to see how it creates that tension on the movie. The second act is just the stress test going up into the bomb, and then you get this third act, which is really just him versus Robert Downey Jr. basically in these two procedures that they're showing, one in black and white, one in color, about kind of recapping what happened in the past between these two characters and all these people. And I just, to be able to create a 3-hour procedural biopic where it's really just talking with a Nolan flair, I think this is his greatest achievement. I don't think that he's ever made something like this before. I love Nolan. He's done a lot of shit that I like. He's done some shit that I don't like. I never thought Nolan was capable of making a film like this. This movie is completely mind-blowing. It's my favorite Nolan movie, a little bit ahead of The Dark Knight. I would give this an A+. This guy is a singular talent. We are lucky to be watching his movies. And I walked out of this movie just like Dex, thinking like, movies are fucking... There's only certain kinds of art that can make me feel that way. And the way that I felt walking out of the movie theater, I watched this movie for the second time in 70mm IMAX right before we got on this podcast. There are very few things in the world that can make me feel the way that Nolan made me feel today about this film. It's an A+. I cannot wait to watch it again. It is mind-blowing, and I love procedurals. This felt like Aaron Sorkin in the writing. The writing is so punchy. I've never had a Nolan movie written quite this good. It's just mind-blowing. I give it an A+.
The difference between Sorkin and this writing and Nolan's writing in general, so sometimes Nolan literally loses the plot in his writing a lot of the time. But
it's called Interstellar. He loses the whole plot, the whole movie.
But Nolan's writing is very dire a lot of the time, and Sorkin has a sort of
Sorkin's hopeful.
Quality regardless. Like just watch all of West Wing. It's just that is all that's mostly Sorkin. But I heard the Big Picture say the last time that he did something very dire was The Social Network, and that was because David Fincher broke him down basically.
Yeah, Brett Fincher just made him no, you're making this film in my image. But it took that.
So I'm interested from you, what was the difference between the 70mm, which is what they have really tried to push, and it actually has outsold a lot of things. I think Dallas was the third highest selling theater for 70mm in this. It's sold crazy all over the United States. What was the difference between seeing that in that format and seeing it in I don't know, a normal huge screen? I saw it at Cinemark XD is what I saw.
The first time I saw it in regular IMAX. But seeing it, it's such a vast movie. There's so many open space shots out there in New Mexico. And when I really noticed it was when you see the bomb get put on the big tower for the test. That's when I really noticed, there's a big difference between watch this movie in 70mm.
You could see the whole tower.
You could see the scale. You could see the whole scale. And it's just even in these very tight shots, a lot of this movie is obviously very tight shots on the faces of white men, basically, right? Cillian is beautiful and also perfect for the role, but there are a number of very, very, very amazing performances. Casey Affleck took my breath away. He is the scariest man on the planet in that scene. He had my heart beating so fast. Just the way he was looking at Oppenheimer, I was like, do you not realize what you're saying to this man? You are trying to withhold information from this man.
You are in danger.
Wring your neck. You are in
for something we don't
now.
we don't see, by the way, like something that happens like off screen. Like, yeah, they intercepted whatever you were saying with that guy or whatever, and it's just like, but that interaction with also excellent casting by Nolan because or whoever is the casting director, because we know that Casey Affleck is also kind of a dirtbag. Like it's just like
Yes, he felt so slimy, and he felt so like I don't care what happens to who, what. Like I'm a man who will accomplish my mission by any means. And it was the first time in the movie that I was like, because Oppenheimer he's got a slick mouth, and part of the beef with him and the Strauss character is that Strauss feels like Oppenheimer has embarrassed him multiple times in public through these interactions or these conversations or these hearings at Congress, and so the beef kind of starts with like, you're treating me like I'm shit. But also Nolan has a lot to say about people like Strauss of like, this guy is actually like, he's a suit. He's not a genius. Yeah. And that's the part where you get the Nolan is like inserting himself into the movie, because there's this random guy who's a suit who you come to realize that like, even though he's the one who recruited Oppenheimer and made the right decision, him like at every point in the way, he's just a suit. He's nothing. He means nothing to the process. He's a status climber and a social climber. And those kind of people are inherently dangerous and bad to real creatives, real geniuses. And you could just feel that in that third act, Nolan is like, this is me. These fucking people at movie studios, these people that won't want me to release at the same time as Barbie, won't move their date. These fucking people at WB who wanted me to put my movie out on the computer and in the movie theaters the same day. I am the genius. I shouldn't have to deal with these people. And it's hurting my genius and it's hurting my creative process to have these kind of social climbers and hangers on around. And there are a lot of those people in politics, and a lot of those people in movie studios. And so you could feel that like this meant something very personal to them. And in that third act, it really opens up to like, that's why Nolan made this movie. This movie is Nolan because he feels a lot of contempt towards the Robert Downey Jr. character, but the way it plays out and the way you kind of see how petty it all is just amazing to create that much tension with something so petty, and two hearings that frankly nobody cares about and really don't matter. We can still make it feel like this is life or death. After we've already seen the bomb go off, we still feel like the stakes are ratcheted up to 100. I can't believe that he was able to accomplish that in a 3-hour talking movie. I just can't believe that he was able to do that.
Also, there's some weird messaging going on there. He did the Dark Knight right before Iron Man, so it's like I created Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, basically,
and then I cast him in this movie. It's a little weird parallel going on there, but.
Also, this is a very tactile movie too. They're not on a green screen.
No, they're there.
When they're putting that bomb together, it fucking feels like that there are people touching an atomic bomb. Like when he walks up to the bomb when it's finally completed before the test, you are feeling like Frankenstein standing in, like the creator of Frankenstein standing in front of the thing that he created, and it works so much because it's like that thing is physically there. Cillian Murphy is touching that thing, and it's like this is a world before the atomic bomb existed. I'm old, but like even I am born in a world where the atomic bomb was already a thing that existed when I was born into the world. At the point in time in history that we're in, this is a new world. This man is at the precipice of a new fucking world, and they really make you feel that in the movie.
Yeah,
only movies can do that. You feel that. Yeah, you really honestly feel that. To make people feel something in that way, that is a true accomplishment that he was able to do, and I can't believe it. I'm blown away by it.
My dad went out of his way. We vacationed in New Mexico a lot, and White Sands and the Los Alamos is a bit of a journey from where we would vacation in New Mexico. And anyway, he went out of his way to like take us down there one time, and it's fucking nuts. It was just like at a boys ranch, like at a Boy Scout ranch in New Mexico, and they took us there's a museum and there's his house and everything, and you kind of just feel it, and it's like this wasn't that long ago. You know what I mean? Where we created the power to destroy everything.
Yeah.
And it really is like, I mean, maybe we'll get a little existential on this podcast, but it is like one of those things where you feel the weight of the invention. And that's very rare that we have those things. I think Social Network, and this feels mundane about an atomic bomb versus the social media, but like,
I love that comparison. I
But, like-
it's a
totally see
great
where you're going
comparison.
there. I totally see where you're going there.
we have given ourselves the power to destroy ourselves,
Mhm.
but it's very rare that we have seen in our lifetime an invention that has changed everything. But it's been a couple of times now that we have had it, and we have had multiple movies about these things. Now, of course they've made Fat Man and Little Boy with I'm forgetting the actor. He's one of the most.
Is it Robert Redford?
No, who's the other Robert? Not Robert Redford.
The other Robert Redford.
The other Robert. And people are screaming at me. Paul Newman, the other Robert Redford, who's probably better than Robert Redford, actually. But Fat Man and Little Boy, and of course a bunch of media about the Los Alamos experiment. But this came way after even Social Network, this modern day retelling of this, and it's really interesting seeing, I don't know, these inventions that we have invented to end humanity. I don't know. And it's interesting seeing a man at the height of his craft who is obsessed with Kubrick, who made a movie about the atomic bomb,
Yep.
make this movie, and only he could make it, is what you said. And it's
No one else could make this film.
No.
No one. There
Yeah.
not another person alive that could make this film.
Now, I will say the funniest anecdote that I have from this viewing, we got there at 10:30 in the morning. There were so many old people that were there at 10:30 in the morning, but there were also so many 19-year-old girls there at 10:30 in the morning.
Really?
Because they were doing the Barbenheimer thing. They were doing the thing. But there was also dudes that drugged their girlfriends there at 10:30 in the morning, which I didn't make my wife go to this movie, but I was sat next to a couple, just me by myself, sat next to a couple, and this fucking guy hated this. He was I thought this was about blowing up atomic bombs, brother. And it was like he immediately, when they were doing one of the scenes in the kangaroo court about denying his security clearance, I actually think it was in a very poignant scene where they were deciding where to drop the bomb, and the guy doesn't want to drop the bomb on Kyoto because they honeymoon there, which is a line I missed in the movie. But they honeymooned in Kyoto, and the cultural significance of Kyoto is what he says. But the guy next to me goes, "God damn, I am tired of dudes in rooms talking. Fuck."
You went to the wrong movie.
I was like, dude, I don't know what you signed up for, but I think the marketing got a lot of people, genuinely.
And just what Nolan did. If you watch Tenet, Tenet is a big tentpole action movie. It's a spy thriller and action movie. So you're thinking there'll be a lot more people dying, and a lot of people do die, but they all die off screen. They don't actually die on the screen. Nobody dies.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, Florence Pugh dies, but
that's true. That's true. And I also someone sent a tweet that really resonated with me. They were like, "There's a glove in the movie of Oppenheimer," and I can't stop thinking about it. And I caught that my first time. I was like, "Is that a metaphor for the fact that But no, there are actually rumors that she was murdered.
There's a hint, yeah.
There's a hint. So to be able to do it like that, where it's very subtle. It's she's
so
taking
quick.
pills. She had this stuff, and it's real quick. It's it looks like, oh, it's a suicide. But if you watch closely, there's somebody pushing her down. It's I can do both. It's there are people who think that she was killed. There are people that think she committed suicide. I can literally service them both in a quick moment. Those little decisions add up. And I think he makes 30, 40, 50, 60 little amazing decisions that I really caught on second watch. And I just felt like I was in the hands of a master outside of the stuff with women generally. I just think he made 50 decisions that were oh yeah, he's in his bag. He's at the top of his craft. He's confident. He's taking chances. Having the actual bomb when it goes off, cutting off the sound, and just doing it with like what
I
sounds
knew
like
they were gonna do it. I knew they were gonna do it immediately. I was like, they're gonna do that.
The score,
did
y'all
it.
talked to the score is just so tense, so perfect, so mind blowing. I was listening to the score
can we
on
talk
the way
about
to the movie.
Ludwig? Can we talk about Ludwig Göransson's career?
He's incredible, man. Like, how did he was just
Dex-
hanging out with Childish Gambino, and now all of a sudden he's winning Oscars?
Yeah, Dex, go ahead as the #1 like Childish Gambino fan here. Like
yeah.
Who is Ludwig?
Yeah, Ludwig. Him and Donald Glover met on the set of Community. I guess he was doing music for Community, and they became friends. And then Ludwig started doing beats for Childish Gambino. You get the like occasional shout out on a Childish Gambino song. Yeah, shout out to Ludwig. And we were all like, okay, cool. Then he starts doing fucking the Black Panther score, and like,
Well, the big one was the Mandalorian, right?
The Black Panther was before the Mandalorian, wasn't it?
No, he didn't do the first Black Panther, did he?
Pretty sure he did, right?
Well, I don't know. He is.
That's what he won the Oscar for, right?
Oh, well. Wait, pause for us looking at IMDb.
Yeah, he won Best Original Score for
Okay,
Black
never
Panther.
mind. Okay.
But anyway,
this is his best work. This is his best work. It's mind blowing how good this score is. Like it is. This is going to sound very cliche. The score of this movie is a part of the reason why you want to go see it on the biggest screen, because the sound of this movie generally, not just the score, is mind blowing.
It was genuinely fucks with you.
It was genuinely like
you.
Shaking the bottom of my screen when they like it was like there was ripples on the cloth at the bottom of my screen when it was going like up, and I was like, is that part of the movie? No, but it was like shaking the bottom of my screen when it was going on. And actually, when we were in Barbie, I meant to say this in the review, the moment in America Ferrera's speech when she's like, womanhood is this and womanhood is that, the Oppenheimer explosion went off in the back. It was just like, womanhood is this, womanhood is this. Boom. I was just like, I was cracking up.
That's amazing.
Funk Flex was on the soundboard dropping bombs.
Oh my god! I leaned over.
That's amazing.
I leaned over to Caitlin and was like, Oppenheimer's going off in the other theater, like fucking dudes rock. You know what I mean? Like it was so stupid, but I was just like, hell yeah, dude. So people are getting their mind blown while I'm watching like America Ferrera give an Oscar speech. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, man, the sound of this movie is insane. It feels like watching The Bear, like how there's just noise constantly happening, and it like makes you feel so anxious and so tense. It's like, oh, like they're working on the bomb in the back, so there's like hammering or something, or he's standing in the kitchen, so there's water dripping, or like there's just always fucking sound happening, and that sound it's been in like all the trailers. It was in all the teasers or whatever, that like stomping sound that they use.
Yeah,
man, the way they use that is just so good. And that made the trailer bang, but in the actual movie, it hits even harder. And I'm just like,
realize
the use of that,
you
don't know what the sound is. Yeah, you don't know what the sound is. When you see what the sound is, you're like, that is a really effective use of that sound in a context that's totally not how they filmed it. Like, it's.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's the scene that everybody's talking about. So
that's the scene to me.
And we talked about it a little bit when I was talking about like the sort of overall reaction to this and people reacting on Twitter, which is known to do for a movie of this magnitude. But so there's a moment after they drop the bomb, they find out about it through radio, which is apparently is historically accurate. A lot of this movie is actually historically accurate.
Except for the Albert Einstein meeting, which was a very good directive choice.
Yeah, sure.
When he meets with him the second time, he actually met with another scientist who had that conversation, but making that scientist Einstein serves the movie. I loved it.
Adds weight to the Avengers cameo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so there's a moment, they're still at Los Alamos. They're still there after they've invented the bombs and shipped them off. And Oppenheimer has to get up and speak in front of these this crowd of hundreds that have been living there now.
Yeah, these people threw their lives away for this.
Yeah, for 2 years actually. I've actually, that's what I was saying. My dad took me to that boys' cabin. I've been there. It's fucking nuts watching it in the movie and actually have been there.
I could not imagine.
Unbelievable. And it's like about it. They got it right. It's about as big as it is. They, in the movie they put bleachers up in the stands or whatever, but they got the scale, the dimensions right. But the sort of train sound, the sort of locomotive propellant that you hear throughout the trailers and everything. And this is a spoiler. We're spoiling the entire movie of Oppenheimer, by the way. They invent the bomb and bomb Japan, by the way. But the sort of propellant that you hear throughout the movie isn't like a train or any, it's the sound of footsteps
Of the bleachers.
Yeah,
of the
stomping on
bleachers.
bleachers. Yeah.
That's so good, man. That's fucking genius level stuff. That's stuff that the average filmmaker is not going to think to use that sound in that way. They're going to create a different sound to create a different feel. But in the way that scene is so haunting because one, he literally designed it like a scary movie, but two, that crowd is raucous. But we know that we already know the
they're
human
raucous
cost
for like
of what
the
they've
wrong
done.
reason.
Yeah, they are raucous because they feel a sense of achievement. But the thing that they've created has literally changed mankind forever and changed the stakes of our collective living amongst other humans and how we interact with other humans forever. So to portray it in that way is so haunting, and I think the tone is so perfect. I'm actually shocked that people took offense to it because I thought the tone was so smart and so aware of what the moment really means.
Because throughout you're like, oh, you hear him saying these things where it sounds like he's excited, and you're like, yeah, that's a good reason to be excited. And then like the actual scene that's playing out in front of you, you're like, yeah, this movie is letting you know that this is incredibly fucked up and like haunting and a terrible thing to have done. Because like he's saying shit like, yeah, I wish we could have finished it faster. We could have used it on the Nazis. And you're like, yeah. But
the Japanese won't like it, and everybody's like, yeah. And
that was insane. That level of first of all, there's no way you can think this is a pro Oppenheimer movie based on that scene alone. Because saying that was fucking insane to say that. Like, I wish we could have dropped it on Germany, but I know Japan didn't like it. I was like, bro, what kind of warmongering are you doing? You're a scientist. Like, what are you doing? But like, I just think that like struck the perfect chord. Also, we haven't mentioned the one really funny moment of this movie when he got cooked by the president. I laughed very loud. The president cooked this man.
It's already a meme.
The president shit all over this man.
Gary fucking Oldman, by the way. Oscar winner
Gary Oldman, you are incredible.
Yeah, I didn't notice who it was when I watched the movie, but then when I found that out, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Gary Oldman comes on as Harry Truman and says, I'm fucking pussy.
He says, Mr. President, I have blood on my hands. He pulls out the handkerchief, which in itself makes the scene already iconic, waves it in his face, and then says, they don't give those people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki don't give two shits about who created the bomb. They care about the guy that dropped the bomb. I dropped the fucking bomb, bitch. Yeah. And then he says, get that crybaby out of my office.
Get that crybaby out of my office.
You fucking little bitch.
Unbelievable. Which in reality, you know what he said? He said, get that cretin out of my office.
Like, that's real. Like, the president actually shit on this man.
The president was like, you ain't built for it. You fucking garbage. Get out of here.
Joe Biden could never do that. He could never cook somebody with that kind of timing. The timing of it is just so perfect. You have to have roasted a lot of people to look a scientist and a genius in his face and roast him in a way that he did. That was incredible. Thank you, Gary Oldman, for giving us 5 minutes of greatness.
A man feels bad about having murdered 200,000 people, as you would. And you're like,
as any human should.
Excuse me, I ain't know your pussy hurt. Like, damn.
That was mind blowing. I could not believe that he mic dropped on this man.
I've talked about with people. I'm like, I don't know how Christopher Nolan managed to make a movie about Oppenheimer where Oppenheimer is not the worst person on the screen, but like that works. That's good.
It actually happened.
Yeah.
I should mention there's a moment in that scene going all the way back to the horror scene where like it cuts off and there's just a singular scream.
Oh God, it was
Where,
incredible.
yeah, it stops the propellant of the footsteps and all of a sudden there's just like I'm not going to recreate it, but there's just a scream of terror and it's unbelievable. But yes,
It's all these little decisions. When they do the bomb test and the sound drops out, the last thing you hear before the sound returns and you hear the full weight of the bomb is the rereading of the line again where he's reading the transcript where he's in bed with Florence Pugh. A very sexy scene, but also very shitty that that's the best you could offer for Florence Pugh. But like he's reading the transcript of "I Have Become Death," and they play that audio back right before you've already seen the impact of the bomb, but now you're hearing the impact of the bomb. Dropping that right before, I was like, we're in the hands of a genius. We're in the hands of somebody who's a fucking genius, bro.
There's a very funny video on TikTok about Oppenheimer after the bomb explodes. "I'm become death, the destroyer of worlds," and everyone else is like, "Did you fucking hear what he said?" I was just thinking, wow, we actually did it. He said, "I'm become death, destroyer of worlds." What is this shit?
You already said.
Yeah. And that kind of plays into this video where they're just like, this movie where they're just like, he says the thing, he did the thing that everybody knows that he was going to say. Anyway, can we talk about the women in this film? And look, let's do our best. 3 men on a podcast discussing the women in Christopher Nolan movies is like, ew. But here we go. Christopher Nolan has done in fact, an absolutely atrocious job of representing women in his films. In fact, it's like the nagging wife, or
it's not debatable. It's not even debatable. He's made enough films to where we see these things keep repeating themselves. It's not debatable. He does a horrible job of writing women.
I mean, I guess like his actual wife gets her moments. Like Emily Blunt gets a little bit of a thing in to correct the people in the hearing, but also it's like they're just correcting them on grammar,
And when she doesn't shake that guy's hand, I thought that was that moment really hit for me the second time. Like when she doesn't shake his hand, basically the last shot of the movie, or one of the last shots of the movie.
By the way, Benny Safdie, like not directing movies anymore, just like acting.
Yeah, he's just a full-time actor now.
Yeah, good for him. Anyway, but Tej, like you wanted to talk about this explicitly, and I kind of agree with you. The Nolan problem with women is like, we don't want to get preachy, but it is like interesting.
I know that we are big fans of Florence Pugh, and I don't want to make this just about Florence Pugh, because this is a problem, like Royden said, that persists throughout Nolan's movies, except for in Interstellar, which I think, strangely, even though that's one of my least favorite Nolan
Anne Hathaway
movies,
is fine.
He does a pretty good job with Anne Hathaway, and she gets some stuff to do, and I think it's fine. But giving an actress like Florence Pugh this particular role, where literally all she does is ponder, spit some fake communist bars at him, and fuck him and have her tits out in like 4 different scenes, including a scene where she's not even really there. But another great decision by Nolan was when he's talking about these indiscretions with the Florence Pugh character in the hearing with his wife sitting behind him. They kind of do a pan shot, and then once you get to the other end of the pan,
that was so much different from any Christopher Nolan movie I've ever seen.
That's just what I was about to say. That is something I've never seen Christopher Nolan do before, ever. I was like, wait, whose movie am I watching again? That's not a Nolan thing. That's like he feels like he's naked in front of this room because he's talking about the most private moments of his life in front of his wife, in front of all these people. And so you pan to the other side, and once you get to the other side, you see that he's shirtless, which I thought was a good touch. And then to go a little further, which was probably too far, now the wife is seeing him with a shirt off, but also is seeing Florence Pugh riding him, facing the wife, and basically talking in his ear, and the wife is seeing Florence Pugh fuck him again, even though we've already seen Florence Pugh fuck him earlier in the movie. Now we're seeing Florence Pugh sitting on the chair fucking him again. And I was like, so every time we see Florence Pugh, she's going to be shirtless and fucking? That's what we have for this woman? And then she's gone? I could not believe that an actress that big and that talented, frankly, was subjected to a role like that. And obviously she's got the right to say whatever she wants. to say yes to whatever she wants, because I'm sure she was handsomely paid for the movie. I'm sure she has some kind of respect for Nolan, and maybe she just really wanted to be a part of the project. But having an actress that good on your movie set, not that anybody was bad on the movie set, because this is the who's who of fucking actors, but having an actress specifically that good on your movie set and using her in that way was just indicative of a larger problem. I found it to be incredibly nasty. And even the first time I watched it, I was like, this woman is too talented to be in that role. And actually, most women that we would have ever seen in a movie are too talented to be in a role like that. This is ridiculous that you couldn't give her more to do. There has to be more to that character than that. I know the movie's already 3 hours, but it just felt like another. Nolan has made the same mistake again, and I just was really. I thought it was really nasty. Frankly, I didn't like it.
Dex, do you have any rebuttal?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
I wasn't bothered by it personally, but like I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, I think more so than the Florence Pugh of it all, I think the Emily Blunt, and she's been front and center on every like campaign trail for this movie before the actors strike.
Yep.
I thought her role was going to be bigger, and it just wasn't.
She had
And
some moments where she could cook, but like, generally speaking,
most
she
of
doesn't
it
even show up until like she's like an hour and a half in. We finally meet the wife, and then she doesn't really have much to do, but like be mad at Oppenheimer and be mad that she has to raise kids. That's like that's
thus is like
does.
Christopher Nolan's thought about women in most of his movies, which is like, fuck, like that sucks. You know what I mean? But that was my biggest problem with like Emily Blunt, who's one of the most talented actresses in Hollywood, along with Florence Pugh. It's like, obviously this is the story about a great man, and we should have stories about great men. I'm not saying that. I'm just like, it is weird that we reduced her to like correcting somebody's grammar in a congressional hearing in a kangaroo court, and like that was it. And okay, sure, like she was a scientist and had a bigger sort of impact in her life than what is portrayed
in the film. Yeah.
Obviously, she was an alcoholic. I think they portrayed that, which is like, sure, but like she had a very complicated life. And I think it doesn't help it doesn't help Nolan's portrayal of women when this is it, but like it's surrounded by a great film, so what can you do? I don't know. But I don't know.
An incredible film. So I obviously that's a criticism I have, but like no, it's an incredible film. It just sucks that to make a movie about great men, we have to like treat the women in the way that we've
Like
treated them.
side characters.
It's weird. It's just weird. But you know, I guess we all have our flaws, and Nolan is just leaning into his. But yeah, I can't. Other than that, I can't say much about this movie that I mean, we can just run down the cast list of performances, and just there were 25 men in this movie that just like gave mind-blowing moments or mind-blowing like parts of the film. It's crazy.
Well, I just want to say real quick, what do we think about Matt Damon? Like our like number one,
He's
like
still
our number one movie star. He's like moving into his old age phase. I love it. I fucking love it.
It should feel weird that we can have two Nolan movies now where Matt Damon 2 hours into the movie just pops up as like and like, hey, I'm here, and fucking goes
Matt
crazy.
Damon, I'm here, yeah.
But it works every time. Matt Damon is just great. He's incredible. He's the when he says, how about, because this is the most important fucking thing to ever happen, that's in the trailer. It happens in the theater. I'm just like, this guy is amazing. He's killing it. He's incredible. He's just
like the near zero. The near zero part is on it's just so movie star, where it's like such a throwaway line where he's just like, what do you want from theory alone? Like 0 would be nice. It's like an incredible movie star performance from Matt Damon.
One of like 3 laughs in this 3 hours of this movie is when he's like, we'll just kill the guy.
Aren't you worried about him more out there? He's like, no, we'll just have him murdered. We'll just kill him.
Fucking love Matt Damon, dude. He can do literally anything you ask of him. If you ask him to show up on your movie set for one day and film a little 30-second scene where he is in a fake play in Thor, he'll make that hilarious. If you ask him to film for a couple more hours, he'll give you his Interstellar performance. If you ask him to carry your movie, he'll give you Ford v Ferrari. Like, he's got it all.
He's so down, by the way, too. He just
He's
loves,
like Kevin Durant. He can fit on any team. He can fit in any offense. It's like, just give him his role, and he'll be like, yeah, I can crush it in that role. And however many minutes you play me, I'm going to go out there and kick ass and sit me down when you want to sit me down. That's fine.
Wait, real quick. Also, Alden Ehrenreich gives the best performance of his career in this movie.
Yeah, shout out to Han Solo.
Yeah. People have like, he's the audience stand-in for this movie, but also fucking loved it. Dex, vehement critic of Rami Malek. What did we think of him just coming in? Fucking Ray Allen off the bench? Like, what happened?
Hey, man, if you have to have Rami Malek in your movie, this is like the best way you can do that is to not let him talk until the very end and not let him talk for very long. Give him the Peyton Pritchard minutes off the bench, you know what I'm saying? Like he deserves.
A vaguely white man off the bench.
Yeah.
You know how the Rockets are going to use Jason Tate this year? That's how you use Rami Malek. Jason Tate's going to come in, make like 3 hustle plays. He's going to sit back down, and we're going to put the young kids back in to go score the ball. That's how they use Rami Malek, and it was a great use of him. He didn't mess up this movie at all. He literally tanked a very good James Bond movie. He tanked it by himself. He was like, I'm going to ruin this shit. He tanked it.
Would you like to die today, Mr. Bond? Or would you like your daughter to die, Mr. Bond? And he's like, fuck. Oh my god.
His weird accent thing. I don't know if he does that like just for movies or if that's how he actually talks or whatever. But whatever that is, that shit is awful. Except in Oppenheimer, they were like, okay, you can do that for like 3 sentences.
You got 3 sentences of that shit, and we're getting you the fuck off the screen. And it worked. The first 2 times he's on screen, he doesn't even talk. And I was like, good job, Rami. Didn't say a word. I love that.
Yeah, just be a little weirdo in the corner. That's all we need.
I kind of was like, is Nolan going to bury this fucking guy? I kind of was like, was like, is he really going to like bury this guy? And yeah, he gets his shots up, but I was also like, he did kind of bury him still. Like, he was like, I'm fucking.
He comes on screen to get some books knocked out of his hand by Cillian and walks off screen. And I said, good job. That's an effective use of that guy. I love the way that we're using him right now. But it just felt like there were so many, the level of tense conversations they're able to create at every step of this movie. There's a different scientist that enters the room for 5 minutes to talk about something. And it's like either whether we're talking about the H-bomb, whether we're talking about the fact that he keeps hanging with communists, whether we're talking about the fact that he's not realizing that, hey, the government is not your friend. And actually, you don't control the bomb. You just make the bomb. And once he creates the bomb, he starts to ask questions that are like, why are you telling us your thoughts and feelings about? He's in the meeting with the Joint Chief of Staff and everybody basically talking about policy. And they're like, bro, you're in here because you made the bomb, but we don't actually care about your thoughts.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
We don't care about your thoughts on like foreign policy, how we should communicate with Russia. And we think that you're a communist. So when you come and tell us, hey, we're not actually fighting the war against Russia, they're looking at you like, so you trying to save Russia? Like you don't want us to use this on Russia? Like we all know why we're really making the bomb. It ain't for Japan. It was for Germany, but Germany got out of the war before the bomb was dropped. So they were like, okay, we were scared of Germany, but now Germany's done. Hitler's dead. What are we still going to do about this bomb? And basically, he tried to argue that, like, we're not at war with the Soviets. Okay, you're right. We're not at the war with the Soviets, but also you have to have some awareness. You, of all people, can't say that. And they literally tell him that in the movie. They're like, you don't want to be seen as the guy who's soft on the Soviet Union, given your past allegiances. Like, you don't want to be that guy. And
Very interesting. Republicans boycotted Barbie and not the movie with a known communist.
The known communist protagonist. Like at the center of this film is a communist.
Meaning they don't really stand behind their argument. Sorry to offend. Anyway, but I had some discussions and some discrepancies about the very ending of this movie where he talks to Einstein, which is a thing that didn't happen, but it works great in the theater. Raindrops are falling, symbolizing the falling of the nuclear bombs on people eventually. They literally cut to a shot of missile silos and major atomic threats. They cut to a shot of bombs flying up through the clouds. He says maybe the biggest threat hasn't been mentioned. What was the line?
We
Was
set
like,
off
Remember
a
the line.
we set off a chain reaction into the
yeah,
world.
yeah, maybe we haven't done it yet.
Oh yeah, he said because there's a point where they think that maybe setting off this bomb when they're testing it is going to literally cause a chain reaction that
Right.
ignites the world. And at the end, he says, "Well, I think that we did it. Like I
Yeah.
think that we did do that, but not in the way. Obviously, not in a physical way, but in a way that things have deteriorated in the way that he's being treated. Obviously, he doesn't feel great.
I felt, yes, necessary, heavy-handed. I just
Very
like
heavy-handed.
I was just like, yeah, I get it. But Dex thumbs down my message in the group message. What did you think?
I think that in a movie about making the atomic bomb, you can't finesse these things. Like you got to
Okay.
be heavy-handed.
I said, and that's fair. Like the atomic bomb isn't subtle. So, like,
Yeah, like you can't. I don't need you to get to the end of your 3-hour movie about the invention of the atomic bomb and then be
It
like,
starts
"I'm
to
gonna
be
drop a hint."
subtle.
Yeah, drop a hint. See what the audience thinks about this one. Take that home with no. Like, be like, this is what it is. Like,
The last thing Matt Damon says to his character before they do the test is literally try not to blow up the world. So they were not trying to be subtle about this stuff throughout the film at all. I didn't think the ending was the time to be subtle. I agree. It was on the nose, but it felt right.
Yeah, I don't think that even obviously it's on the nose or whatever, but I think that's fine for a movie like this. Like, I don't think you can't make it ambiguous because it's not. Like, like we know how we feel about this.
And this is literally what Nolan does, by the way. I think part of the problem with Interstellar, which there are many, is that they're explaining everything so literally to the point where Anne Hathaway literally says in the film, "I think that you should consider love as a factor because love is important and it points us in this decision," which is kind of the mission statement of the movie. He just has her say it. She just reads it. She just says it, and it's like he's always like he puts it out there. He's not trying to. Other than Inception, you really can't point to a movie where he's like, you have to really think deeply and hardly, and I'm not going to give the answer to you. Inception is the only movie where it was like, people had no idea what was going on. He was just like, I'm not going to explain this to you. But everything else is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. Like, if you're going to make these big blockbuster movies like this, there's got you have to make sure that to justify their existence, people fucking get it. Like, people know what the movie is about, because I personally would hate to live in a world where Oppenheimer is this big box office hit. And then people are like, I don't know if Oppenheimer was good or bad, or like if the invention of the atomic bomb was good or bad, or what Christopher Nolan thinks about that, at least. And yeah, he tells you what he thinks about that. And I think that's good.
And a lot of people didn't get Tenet, and that was part of the blowback that he got. So maybe he was just like, we're going to be very straightforward about this because a lot of people were like,
we're all going to
Tenet,
kill
what's
each
happening?
other. That's
Yeah, this was bad. This is very bad. Like, the atomic bombs exist. And they didn't have to, but now they do. And that's terrible. And everything that is wrong with the world kind of goes back to this in a little bit.
So, real quick, what from Barbenheimer? What do we got to say? Margot Robbie, Best Actress nomination. Ryan Gosling, Best Supporting Actress nomination. Robert Downey Jr., Best Supporting Actor nomination.
Ryan Gosling for lead, but yes, continue.
No, he's Best Support. If he wants to win, he'll go in Best Supporting Actor.
You think
I don't know
he
if they'll
beat
let
Robert
him.
Downey Jr.?
Yes.
I don't think he beats him, but I think that I would love to see that race. But
he's not beating Cillian Murphy for Best Actor.
No, I don't think he's beating them for either. But I don't think he's winning either. But he gives a better chance against Robert Downey Jr. So I get it. But I think that both these movies are going to be very well decorated. But I think Oppenheimer, we're looking at best director, we're looking at best picture, we're looking at best support, best actor, and maybe best supporting actress. But I think that we might give.
You think Emily Blunt gets it?
I think Emily Blunt might
I don't
sneak
know.
into that. I think it's a maybe.
I think it's there. I think y'all were saying she didn't have enough to do or whatever. I think she had plenty to do for the Oscars.
Plenty to do for the Oscars is a different thing from what we think, but obviously, like
I think that best adapted's on the table. I think it's going to be nominated for a ton of shit. Not to mention the editing. We have not mentioned the way this movie is edited.
unbelievable.
But
It's
it
Some
is
people hate the editing
unbelievably
of this
edited.
movie.
I think
jarring.
a lot of people,
It's hard
a lot
to-
of people missed it. Like they were just like, they're just like, what has happening? And it was just like,
There
three
is-
stories at once. What are we talking about?
There is literally stuff I missed on first viewing that I realized in the second viewing because the way it's edited is jarring, and I missed stuff. There's big stuff that I missed because of the way that it's edited, but it serves the narrative so well, and it serves the story so well. I think it's an editing achievement, but it did make my first viewing. There was stuff that I just missed. I was like, wait, what's going on?
I feel like if and when this wins best editing, it's going to be one of those ones where everyone immediately is tweeting like the winner of most editing is Oppenheimer, blah blah blah. That whole bit that we do.
No, I mean, best cinematography, Hoyte van Hoytema. Also, he has replaced Roger Deakins in these films. Ludwig Göransson has replaced Hans Zimmer, which is fucking nuts. Like,
It's just
Hans
crazy to
Zimmer
even
still
think
in these
about.
streets. What's Hans Zimmer up to?
he's out there doing stuff.
Can I also just say I saw the Legends of the Flower Moon trailer again for probably Killers of the Flower Moon trailer again for probably the 5th or 6th time. That trailer fucking hits every time, bro. Every time.
It's good shit.
People are already crowding Oppenheimer for this when we do have Legends of the Flower Moon coming out in a couple of months.
That's
And
why we got to
potentially
be very
Dune
careful
2.
about the way we're talking because Dune 2 and Legends of the Flower Moon could do big work.
Legend of the Flower Moon coming out this year. Dune 2, who knows? Because
Who
they
knows?
said
Point. Good
probably
point.
2024, actually.
Also, do not sleep on Past Lives. Like,
Oh yeah, we forgot about our favorite
do
film of the year,
not,
actually.
not sleep on Past Lives. I think that one's gonna have legs. I think that's gonna get there.
Boy, our Oscar
real-
season is going to be great, guys. Y'all need to be tapped into us for Oscar season because we are really fucking back. We are so fucking back. Oscar season is right around the corner. You think it's not, but it happens fast, and it's going to be here.
Yeah. Next week, what's the film?
Are we
with the
seeing
hand?
Turtles?
Talk
No,
to
what's
me.
Talk to me. You want to do Talk to Me?
If Dex is willing, because I've been hearing great things about Talk to Me.
I kind of want to do Talk to Me.
I'll let y'all
Look at
watch
this,
it
look at this,
first,
look
and
at this,
then
look
let
at
me
this.
know. From there.
They clone
See?
Tyrone.
They cloned
That
Tyrone.
I do need to watch.
It's
that. I haven't
pretty
watched
damn
it yet.
good. I have to finish it. I got about 20 minutes left, but it is a wild ride. And shout out to Teyana Paris. I love you. You are everything.
Same, actually.
You are
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, I can't be convinced to do Talk to Me. I would rather not, though.
I wanted you to Talk to Me so bad.
we got They Clone Tyrone. We also got the Turtles coming up. Cinema is back, guys. There's plenty of stuff to
What
talk
is?
about.
Oh, okay. The
Teenage
Mutant
Mutant Ninja
I was
Turtles
like-
animated movie. Real quick, what are we watching? I watched a couple of films. Like I watched Hot Fuzz and The World's End.
Hot Fuzz is
Oh,
good.
sick. Yeah. I don't think
I've
I've
seen-
seen The World's End all the way through, but Hot Fuzz is good.
I've seen them before. I just like they're on Amazon, so I like picked them up again. The Edgar Wright films after Shaun of the Dead, and they're still fucking great, actually. But
I
also
ran
watched.
back. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead. Finish.
No, I also watched A Walk to Remember because I had never seen it before.
Didn't you tweet something derogatory about
Yeah.
this film?
It stinks.
That's not true. That's not
It
true.
is.
It has heart.
Oh my god! When's the last time that you watched this movie?
It's been a long time.
They get married at 17.
Yes, a lot of white people do that in the Midwest and wherever the fuck they were living. It didn't seem weird to me.
Yeah, it was authentic. I've never
Like
seen
The
this movie.
Notebook is so much better than this movie, which isn't
This is
saying
Mandy
much, but it's
Moore.
like,
That's a tough comparison because The Notebook is a better movie. I
Yeah.
remember liking A Walk to Remember though. I remember thinking Mandy Moore was
like
much better in that role than I thought.
no, Mandy Moore is actually good, but it is like you can see the vision with Mandy Moore, but it is like, why the fuck were so many like Texas white women obsessed with this movie? Is unbelievable. Like everybody our age was obsessed with that movie.
Is that a Nicholas Sparks book?
It
movie
is.
Or yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the movie's not good. It's basically like a bad episode of the OC or something. But like, it's interesting. But yeah,
I had told y'all that I ran back Interstellar. Despite my still not liking this film, there are some things that really make me feel stuff in the movie. It's not the shitty ending, but when you get to the Matt Damon planet, that is just real fucking
That
cinema.
goes so hard.
Going through a black hole goes so hard, and when they come back from the water planet, which also goes kind of hard, and then he sees his kids growing up on that video, and he's just sitting there crying. I felt you really
Tars, hit the accelerator, Tars.
It is a flawed film. It has its problems, but Nolan really made me feel some stuff in that movie, and obviously because this
You're
is
shitting on it on Twitter.
that's
You
a
got
sci-
fucking roasted.
the first 30 minutes of that film is so garbage. I hate it. I hate it so much. Anyway, there's some good shit in there. Interstellar, there's some good shit in there. But I also watched JFK because obviously this is a procedural.
Yeah.
It made me think of JFK. I ran that shit back. That still bangs. Kevin Costner is still fucking him. That movie still fucking bangs. And they use so much historical footage in that movie, which is a very different choice than what Nolan made here. But JFK still bangs. 3 hours, 9 minutes.
Back and to the left. Back and to the left.
Kevin
Jack,
Costner's New Orleans
you are-
accent is one of the worst things to ever happen to cinema,
Go
and the movie
back
still works.
and to the left. Anyway, it's a great movie, actually.
Great. 3 hours, 9 minutes, by the way. I could not believe the runtime of
Unreal.
this
I
film.
tried to watch it the other day.
It's long as shit. And I watched A Few Good Men, other procedurals. It made me watch all these procedurals, so that's what I've been watching. And
Did
Secret
you order
Invasion,
the Code
which
Red?
stinks. Secret Invasion fucking stunk, bros. The MCU is on
No
notice.
spoilers.
If the Marvels does not bang, we're gonna have a real conversation on this podcast because Secret Invasion was an absolute waste of time, except for the Bob Marley who went fucking crazy in the finale. He's making all the money out here, bro. Respect
He's
to that
already
man,
Bob Marley
Kingsley.
now.
I wanted to give TJ an opportunity to clear out for Secret Invasion, which has gotten the worst reviews of any MCU project ever, which is
That
fucking
finale
nuts.
was laughable, bro. It was a laughable attempt at a
And
finale.
I haven't even turned it on. I haven't touched it. Dex is like
Don't.
an episode behind, so like
Don't.
we don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it.
I'm an
But-
episode and a half behind. I got like 30 minutes into episode 5, and I had something to go do, and I haven't like picked it back up and turned it back.
Just
on,
read
which is
about it.
rare for
Just
the
read about
MCU.
it and let's go into the Marvels. If the Marvels is big fire, which I hope that it is, I will apologize. But if the Marvels is not big fire, unfortunately, we're gonna have to have some dialogue on the pod, which I'm not
Hey
going to
man,
like.
my daughter Kamala Khan cannot miss. All right,
That's true. She cannot.
she will
Please
never
don't let
fail.
her
She
miss.
will never not prosper. Okay, Miss Marvel fucking banged, and if you don't like it, you're bad and wrong.
I also learned
Next.
today that Royden thinks that this might be the last time that we see what's her face. The Marvels might be the last time that we see what's her face. The
Brie
Oh,
Larson?
Marvel.
Brie Larson, yeah.
Brie
Like,
Larson.
Dex, you agree with that, right? She said she's done, right?
I haven't paid attention to be honest with you.
Oh well, there was like rumors, and I think we talked about this a few podcasts ago. Where like there was rumors that Brie Larson was like, "I fucking hate the discourse
Well,
around
that's
me."
because all the dude bros were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, there's a movie about women. I hate that. Ill. Why didn't she show her tits more?" So obviously, like men are horrible. So I can see why she would be mad. But I felt like the checks had to have been good enough to where we can keep her around if we want to.
I mean,
I would be
Brie
surprised if she
Larson
left.
isn't against taking checks. She's in like 1,800 car commercials.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
it like. Also, I think she was like really tired of it. This is an Academy Award winner, and
But what does she
there
want
was
to
a-
go do?
I don't know.
Because yeah, it's not like she's doing other Academy Award shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
That's an
Yeah,
interesting one.
I
I feel like she's right. She should stay at home. But that's
She might be
maybe
done.
she's-
I just think Tiana Paris and Kamala Khan are.
Hey,
I
if
think-
Teyana becomes the new Captain Marvel, that is an upgrade. And so I'm into that. I'm very into that. Let's do that.
Dex, what,
Next,
do you
what have
watching?
you been watching?
I don't remember if we already talked about this last time, but the last movie I saw before Barbie and Oppenheimer was Birdman, which I watched.
Hell
So you
yeah!
told us that.
Yeah.
Swag. Real
Uh,
cinema.
It ain't no Whiplash, but it's good.
Fair.
Like,
Very fair.
The Wonder thing. When I first realized that was happening, I was like, "Huh, weird." And then it kept going, and I was like, "Wait, this fucking rules." Like,
Isn't it funny that was a con? I mean, they did it in 2006 with like Children of Men, but like, isn't it funny that was a concept for a whole movie back in 2014 or
14. Yeah.
14 when that movie came out, and now everybody does that for like a Marvel's TV show or whatever.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
does it for one episode for like, ooh, we'll give you 10 minutes of a Warner. It's like, yay! That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw Birdman, and I was like, I get it why it won Best Picture. Like, it's a really fucking good movie, but I'm like,
But it's not
just did
Whiplash.
something to me, man.
Yeah.
Birdman,
You
I got
gotta-
to the end of, and I was like, that was cool. Like, Michael Keaton was really good. Whichever Edward Norton, is that him in that movie?
Yeah,
Yep.
it is
He
Edward
was
Norton.
good.
We got that wrong last episode.
I know, yeah. I was like, whichever whitey guy, like that E-name guy.
hey!
Atar and Whiplash double feature would go crazy, and I still have it on my list to do that. I want to
Actually,
do Atar Whiplash
that
double
might be
feature.
a great episode.
That might go
actually.
so crazy.
Might break me as a person.
You can't start without me. Not at my tempo.
Yeah, Miles Teller did his thing in Whiplash, dude. What a movie, what a film. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And sports, watch the World Cup, baby. Team USA, we out here.
Did Team USA
Gotta
win
put the-
today?
Got the
I
draw,
thought we were
baby.
1-1.
Draw. Got
We
the
draw?
draw.
That's trash.
Hey, but Netherlands is like top 7 in the world or something like that.
Okay, that's
you
good
know?
then. We'll
We'll take a
that.
draw. We'll take a draw.
All right. This has been a One Take Podcast episode. One Take Podcast on Twitter. You can find us being aggregated by Know Your Meme on most outlets, I guess. Go to Know Your Meme for
We're
this
going
is my
purple.
Mojo Dojo House. Casa House.
Casa House.
Yeah, Mojo Dojo Casa House. We're on just been aggregated by that website on knowyourmeme.com. But One Take Podcast on all your platforms. X, I guess, which is a sure.
We're not
Fucking-
saying that. It's
Sure.
We're not saying that. Elon, you're a fucking idiot. We hate you.
Twitter.
You gone this long without talking about Elon, but X.com. What? Oh, not a porn site, guys. Not. It's not.
I mean, it's kind of a porn site.
Kind of
You
is
just
now.
Always has been, actually. But
Yeah.
you can find us on that and TikTok and the like. Dex, what are we doing? Especially because we have a Florence Pugh movie that we just reviewed, actually.
Hashtag support Florence Pugh. Go watch her in Oppenheimer.
Go
Again,
watch an Oppenheimer. And what's he in after this? Who knows? Oh, Dune. Dune Part 2.
Dune.
drop it in
Which-
2023, you cowards. We need the battle.
Sure. Yeah, which may come out. Who knows when? But one more time, Dex, what are we doing?
Hashtag support Florence Pugh. We out of
All right.
here.
We're out.